Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the March 26, 2019 open session meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. And first order of a business, call to order. First second order of business is to discuss the agenda, and I think we have a change. Mark?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Robert Papian and Carly Antonellis are here to discuss some DPW projects that the planning board has been asked to take on relatively soon. So I thought we would have them speak before we get to the rest of the agenda.
That's fine. Is that okay with the rest of the members?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't I propose any other, need a motion to approve the agenda. I'm sorry, I got out of order here.
So
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yes, we're going to. So I would like to move that we add town manager.
any other changes?
I'm going to ask for that in a minute. I'm going to ask that we add the town manager, we give the town manager the floor for a few minutes at the beginning of the meeting. And any other changes or suggestions from board members?
No.
Okay. Will you allow that change to your motion, Mr. Diskin?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's do it. Enter and sign in, please.
I have. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening before your meeting. I do appreciate it. I'm before you with a special request, Mr. Chairman, to you and the board. And let me just preface by saying I think we can all agree that it would be nice if in municipal government everything worked in a perfect plan. But as the Planning Board knows, that's not always the case. What I'm respectfully requesting of the Planning Board is to call a special meeting of the Planning Board regarding the issue of the site plan review for the Citizens Energy solar array. As the Planning Board is probably aware of, the town entered into a pilot agreement with Citizens Energy quite some time ago to construct a solar array on the capped landfill of the municipal land. That went through pre-permitting. The pilot agreement was approved by the Board of Selectmen. Everything was put into place to move forward. It has come to my attention through the DPW and in consultation with Mr. Archambault that the solar, because it is a solar project, and keep in mind under our old zoning bylaw and our changes, and we're still, and I appreciate the Planning Board continuing to work with us as we go through this transition.
I think we knew it was going to happen. We just
Yes.
didn't know where the gotchas were going to be.
So as the Planning Board is aware, under the new zoning, it does require a site plan review, the solar array. The challenge we have is everything is ready to go, and what I mean by ready to go, Citizens Energy is prepared to not only begin construction, but we are also on a very tight window for their financing for this project.
Okay.
Therefore, it does have to go through site plan review.
Okay.
I understand that this is not a normal request. However, given the importance of the project to the town, as the Planning Board should be aware, all of the revenue generated from the solar array will go into the solid waste enterprise account, which currently is running on average, about a $150,000 deficit every year. The solar array will generate estimated between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. It is on the capped landfill municipal land with, I would argue, as the departments would, minimal impact, if you will. So that being said, I'm respectfully asking the Planning Board, and I would be most appreciative if you would be willing to consider calling a special town meeting, a special planning board.
But it ain't in my power.
A special, we're giving you added powers as we speak, but a special planning board meeting solely for the
Sorry,
purpose.
Robert.
No, that's okay. solely for
Dry in
the,
here sometimes.
solely for the purposes of the site plan review. Now, those plans
Yep.
are available, and I've said to Mark, I'll be working with Mark and Heather to transmit that information to the planning board.
Fantastic.
Additionally,
Yeah.
as sort of a preview, I will be back if the board would be so kind to call that special meeting on
When would you-
April the 1st.
April 1st, okay, 6 o'clock at night, 6:15, can we do something like, it's a Monday night? There's no other hookup, hangouts with a room or anything like that?
I'd have to look,
I
but
mean,
no, nothing sticky
procedurally,
now.
Yeah.
Rest of the board okay with that?
I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Let's call it 6:15, because that's kind of our time.
Just so I won't forget, yeah.
Yeah.
6:15 Monday night, okay.
Mhm.
Whatever the pleasure of the board.
Will that
we're-
give you the time you need in order
Yes.
to get it done?
Yes.
That's the question,
Yes.
okay? And you're not gonna have to work around the clock between now and then to get it done.
No, correct.
Okay,
So, and then, as a preview, when I come in full disclosure, when I come before you at the special meeting on Monday, I will be making a formal request on behalf of the town as the town manager to waive some of the conditions in your regulations. The reason for the waiver, again, of those regulations, and I'll have this all in writing, it'll be part of your packet, is again to expedite this project moving forward. Again, I take the process very seriously. However, we are in a corner in the sense with the financing issue that Citizens Energy has, as well as the importance of the project to move forward. And I do appreciate the collaborative spirit to work together. Superintendent Wetzel will be with me on Monday, and I anticipate a representative from Citizens Energy
Okay.
that we've worked closely with. I am in consultation with town council on the issue of my request, just to make, and I'm confident
Thank
that
you.
my request for you to consider,
Yeah.
and it has to be deliberated and considered, I'm going to waive those requirements, is on solid ground.
Okay, thank you.
If it's not, Mr. Chairman, then Citizens Energy will make those requests with my support.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I guess when the zoning bylaw changes came about after a lot of work was done. And a lot of work was going forward before the new zoning law came in place, and I can understand this. The town is in favor of using the cap landfill for this. They do understand the value of the revenue that's going to be generated by it. I can't see any reason why we wouldn't. I mean, I'm honestly happy to call a special meeting of the planning board. Happy to call a town meeting if you want, but I don't think it'll work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if that's, now, a little bit of drift here, do we need a motion to do it?
No.
As a vote? Okay, great. Any questions from the board? John?
Any questions? So we're talking about the land just north of the current transfer station, that capped area, right?
Correct.
Citizens Energy, is that public, private, government? What is Citizens Energy?
So Citizens Energy is a quasi-public agency that throughout the Commonwealth has developed these solar projects in conjunction with municipalities. This whole bidding process was done when I talked about under the whole permitting. They were selected by the town after a competitive RFP process. They offered,
Oh, I see.
yes,
Okay.
to develop it. Yeah,
So you solicited them to be the developer to provide an additional source of revenue
Correct.
to defray some of the costs
Yes.
incurred by DPW in the solid waste division.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
so how does it work? Is it revenue share with Citizens Energy? Or no, you get everything.
It's a
It's a
lease.
lease.
It's a land lease for
It's a land lease.
they're gonna lease our land to develop their solar.
But,
Yeah.
right, but, so the money we get back, is that from the lease, or is it a share of the production
The
itself?
lease only.
Lease
lease
only,
only.
they
Yep.
get everything in the production.
Right.
yeah.
I just wanted to know, thank you.
Yep. And just when I said, Mr. Kranz, the range that I use between 20 and 30,000, we believe, the way the agreement is structured, that lease amount is based on the kilowatt production, so there's some
Got it.
variable in that, but it's estimated to be up to 30,000, no less than 20.
Great. Thank you. Fantastic.
So, Mr. Chairman, working with your staff, we will get you the packet,
Mhm.
the plan, and as I said, we'll be back on Monday at 6:15.
I look forward to seeing you.
And I appreciate the consideration of the planning board for this important project, and we look forward to meeting with you next Monday.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that I think this is it's a special case because of the changes we've made most recently, and I appreciate everybody in town making the efforts to bring it together so we can move this forward. Because if I do recall the town meeting, this is the will of the town to do it, so let's
Yeah.
not stand in the way.
That is
Thank you.
correct. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next on our, we've approved the agenda.
Look at the minutes.
I'm going to the minutes.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
So, just gonna make a note. Okay, motion to approve the minutes from March 12th.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from March 12th, 2019.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes from March 12th?
Yes, Heather, if you look at page 2, it's easier to show you than, I didn't understand what,
This one?
yeah, there's a little type weirdness here. In the past for early, but not, there's like a missing verb or something.
Yeah.
Something there, I just didn't know what it was meant there.
I went right past it, Jonathan, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
What page were you on?
I'm sorry, page 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I put past too many times.
It says where Mr. Archambault stated that the board needed to look at what they would like to see for the road length for this unique site. New sentence, in the past, the board has approved waivers in the past. Oh, I see, approved
Yes.
waiver for road length.
Yeah.
Okay, so take out in the
Yeah,
past
it's in
twice.
there twice, yeah.
Okay.
For road length, but they're not, oh, they are not. That there is supposed to be they are.
Yeah.
Oh, I
There you
get
go.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
there we go.
let's delete, in the past, the board has approved waivers. Let's remove the second, in the past,
Mhm.
for road length, in the past, the board has approved waivers for road length,
Comma.
Right. But they are,
Right.
uh-oh, Mrs. Hennessy's gonna be upset with me, I forgot what that, they are is a conjunctive?
Contraction.
Contraction. They're dead-end roads, okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Heather.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Thank you. A second,
Seconded.
please. Fantastic. Any further discussion? Hearing none. I've always loved to say that. I moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thanks for catching it.
I'm surprised I didn't catch it, but thank you very much. Jonathan, I'm going to start reading more closely.
Edited you guys both.
I tell you. Well, I've got a new job now.
You're getting promoted
Everybody write
soon.
it how I wrote it, like I meant to write it, that's all.
That's okay. I don't know, as I said, have any of you ever read that book that was written by the person who wrote it using text on a phone? Yeah, you want to read something fantastic. It's actually fascinating. It's a Japanese young lady who wrote an entire book sitting on the train on her phone.
Cool.
There's something to Google for you. So next on our list is the discussion of the recreational marijuana zoning bylaw.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Archambault. Oh, excuse me. This was. Oh, that's for later. Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Is this going to stay on the screen, or should we?
That will probably be underneath what my presentation.
Okay, good. Yep.
So, I'm going to pass out the hard copy of the draft bylaw that was sent out a few weeks ago that you all have received. And I will be actually giving the same presentation I gave last week at our public information session. And I would like to thank member Jonathan Grant for supporting me on that.
Playing that tape that everyone's getting on Thursday. I've seen it 4 times already. Watch the tape. Watch the tape. I didn't get a chance to go, so I watched the tape the next day.
I didn't pick my nose right.
You did very well. The elocution was on target as usual, and I thought you were well prepared. You did a good job. Yeah. I couldn't go, so I figured this is not.
It's not makes sense.
Then you can fast forward to it. But It's been on quite a few times, so it's getting out there.
That's
It
good.
takes a moment to load, I've noticed.
I got felt really guilty. Sorry. I'm putting them to bed. Oh.
I know.
By the way, we have another meeting
Yeah,
next week.
presentations, love company, and
Yeah.
I left them Thursday,
I'm in a playful mood,
and
Karen.
they were expecting.
You should be.
I should give you a topic to discuss, right, with SNL.
Yeah.
While we're waiting, I learned something interesting this weekend that I thought might be of interest, of personal interest to some members here, but also I know from Alan in the audience, and I saw her a second ago, and then she left. Within the field of mushroom studies, there's this expert in a subsection called hebelomas. The interesting thing is he just recently finished a book on the hebelomas of Europe, and he's now come to the United States, and he wants to do North America. This is the part where it gets interesting. He's recruiting citizen scientists to participate because there are so many varieties of this mushroom that it's impossible for him or even his staff to do a meaningful survey. So what he's planning to do is to prepare citizens who can go out, who are interested in mycology anyway, who are going to be out in the woods anyway, to identify, record, send the records to him, photos, and if possible, even specimens. I mention this to all of you here because some of you might be personally interested, but also it's an interesting thing to think about, that there may be an opportunity for citizen science involvement here in Ayer because we happen to live in an area that's not bad for this stuff. It's just a thought, just to put it out there, something to be thinking about as an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
So I've been a fisherman my entire life, and I've always told people where to go fishing because that's always the hot spot to go fishing.
Well,
But they're never fishing where I'm fishing. I wonder why they don't understand my directions.
I don't know.
So knowing some mycologists, this is
I have no idea what you just said.
you never
Well-
tell them where the hot spots are. You tell them where to go fishing.
Well, the thing about these mushrooms,
No, but I was gonna say,
These-
but telling people where our mushrooms are. But
The thing
telling
about-
people where our mushrooms are is not always a
well,
good
let me
thing.
clarify something. The hebelomas are like the,
And this is where we lost the fighting word.
you know what they're like? They're like the starlings of the mushroom kingdom.
Oh, okay.
Or pigeons. People don't get excited about them. No one's going to protect their hebeloma spots because they're not like morels. They're not like psilocybe mushrooms. They're
Okay.
anything that people desire and they want to buy. You know, no one gives it.
Yeah, I'll have
That's
to-
part of the reason he's doing the study. Is that
I'm not that, I'm just not, my.
But I get you.
My knowledge doesn't go that deep, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Ken got it though.
I got it.
Okay, now it might work.
Much to my amazement.
Still thinking about fish.
We had a,
One a week before we didn't have ice. That was probably a problem.
that's a, we had an immature
Good for you.
ball
I'm out there almost every day.
eating on the ice just before it went out behind the house this week, yeah.
I'm gonna take you
I
to
have pictures of
places
it.
that they should be. I'll take you some really good.
I would. I'd love to. I instead of doing the loop, I kind of went to the right over the little bridge and
All
explored
right.
something that ended up at
Okay.
the rod, you know, well, maybe I wouldn't do it.
Go right into the pond.
Well, this works
Go down
fine
to the
last
sand,
week.
It's wide open sun. Great.
I saw the pictures.
You can go from-
There's so much I can do
All
with
right.
I
this.
walked it as far as you could one time, down that direction.
One of those days, huh, Mark?
Cavern
Yes.
that you can't get across.
Have you done the
Nothing in the
While,
background.
while it's
Oh,
loading,
you've done a
how'd the
lot.
session
I know.
going Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Very good. We didn't have a lot of attendance. but,
Right.
You know, we had some key people and police chief was here. Quite a few citizens and
Some media. We had-
media. Yes, actually, somebody
Which-
from.
which
I'm
media
sure
were
Well, in addition to Ruth, we had, what was the gentleman's name from which?
John Winkler, probably from Neshoba. He's the.
Neshoba, yeah, young guy? Yeah.
This is not good.
I'm not sure why it's taking so long this time.
Well, no, just,
Shut it off.
Can we just do it?
there we go.
All right, okay.
Good.
Wow, we are a simple
Alright.
group.
Thank you. I'll conconcentrate on
Doesn't
the
take much.
screen.
You're
Doesn't
concentrating.
take much to make them happy.
Actually, if you don't mind, I will sit down to give the
Go ahead.
presentation, just to, so this is the same presentation I gave last week at the public information session, and it will be largely the same presentation I give at the public hearing on April 9th. There might be a few little tweaks, but pretty much just that. So why is the town proposing this bylaw? Well, first of all, in November of 2016, there was a question 4 on the ballot at the November election, and recreational marijuana was approved in the state. Ayer voted yes on the question, and as a result of that, it took a little while, but eventually the state formed the Cannabis Control Commission, which was charged with developing regulations and the processes by which businesses could, obtain licenses to operate these types of establishments. Now, towns can limit the number of retail establishments. Now, there are many types of establishments, but when it comes to retail establishments, towns can limit them to no fewer than 20% of the number of alcoholic beverage licenses in the town, which in the case of Ayer equated to 1. And at the October 23rd, 2017 special town meeting, this was placed before the voters to limit it to 1 establishment, and that passed by over 2/3. And so the town is obligated to adhere to that, and we decided in drafting this bylaw that we would not challenge that. The advice of Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and others is to start with 1 retail establishment, see how it goes, and if as time goes on, it looks like, it's not a big deal and we want more, we can always go back and amend that. Now, if a town does not explicitly zone for and regulate marijuana establishments, they are considered allowed in the zoning district most closely matching the type of use that they're proposing. So if it's a retail sales, it would be allowed in potentially any commercial retail district. If it was cultivation and manufacturing or product development, it would most likely be allowed in the industrial districts. So a business could come into the town now, excluding, Gage Cannabis, which comes under the previous bylaw, and the provision for existing medical establishments to get first priority with the licensing. So if we did not have a bylaw at all, such as we're proposing, they would be able to just go in under the regular zoning if they wanted to push it. And we wouldn't have any additional controls that I'll be describing in this presentation to regulate them. So the process of developing a bylaw, I was, asked by town manager to look into this since it's becoming a hot issue, of course. And many of the surrounding towns, such as Littleton, have already adopted their recreational marijuana bylaws, and they have some establishments up and running. And I think it's just about weekly, we receive calls into community development, into the town manager's office looking for sites to locate some of these.
So when you get these calls, now, when we put the zoning in place, we'll be able to respond to those calls by saying we've assigned this location, and you can start looking at that location, or
Right.
looking at real estate in that location.
Yeah, so far we're telling them that
Factor.
we're working on the bylaw. It's going to be presented at the June 10th special town meeting. They can obviously apply before we have that, but they're taking a risk perhaps.
Right.
And I think,
Hey, am I missing something? We've allowed for 1 establishment.
right,
This is all the other stuff.
I'm sorry?
it's all,
You're gonna see,
for
this is
one
about
real-
all the other
this is
stuff.
all the other
Types of
types of
uses.
businesses.
Like
There are any-
warehouses, distributors, cultivators.
I'm sorry, yes, thank you.
I'm
No, it's all
getting
right.
into that.
No.
Yep.
He's gonna get to it too, and Mark will have his lot.
Stay with it.
Okay. So what we did is, the decision was made that,
You
given
mentioned
the-
Gage, so yeah, that's why. Okay, keep
given the
going.
controversy of this issue for several reasons and the need to have a wide group of stakeholders involved in the drafting of the bylaw, we formed this working group that was composed of the police chief, police detective, who actually lives in Leicester, which was one of the first towns to get a recreational retail license. So he had the experience there, seeing what happened. The fire chief, the town manager, assistant town manager, economic development, community economic development director, parks and recreation director, DPW superintendent, building commissioner, the district health inspector for the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, and Jonathan Krantz was our planning board representative. So the draft bylaw was prepared by March 1st. Town council is putting just some final tweaks on it, but we held a public information session on March 20th last week. And the planning board public hearings are scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, and I anticipate that we will probably want to continue it to April 23rd. We may need to tweak it a little bit, and we have the ability to do so if it's announced at the public hearing, at the first public hearing. So, depending how things go.
Have you received any feedback from anyone, any citizens who have watched the videos or the recording of your presentation from the
We
20th?
haven't, not yet.
Okay, you haven't heard boo yet? Okay.
Nothing, no. So the special town meeting vote would be on Monday, June 10th, and it was decided by the town manager's office that we would do this at a separate special town meeting and not the annual town meeting, which deals with the budget, the schools and everything else. 'Cause by the time we got to this bylaw, in the form-based co-bylaw, it would be 10 PM and everybody would be really tired.
I think it'd be later than that.
Who knows how late?
And cranky.
Right, yes.
When it goes to the special town meeting on June 10th, the presentation's going to be made by yourself. Is that the intent?
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yes. Though, if anybody would like to support it, certainly we could have more than one. If somebody else wants to chime in, somebody from the working
Yeah,
group.
let me know if you want help.
Yeah, sure.
Can't do that.
But most likely I will be giving the bulk of the presentation. So I just wanted to talk about some of the model and actual bylaws that we looked at in drafting this, and I have all of these in my files, which I can share copies with you if you so wish. The Pioneer Valley Planning Commission out of Springfield, Massachusetts has a model bylaw for how you can craft this type of bylaw, and I thought that was really good. It was really excellent. Littleton, just right next door, they have quite the good bylaw. I think we all agree that theirs was good. Hudson, Leicester, and Hudson and Leicester have retail operations up and running right now. So, Lowell, Fitchburg, Athol, and New Bedford completes the list of those that we looked at for ideas. This map I thought was very interesting. This is just a map showing, this was prepared by the town of Stowe, how various towns in Massachusetts voted on question 4 back in November 2016. The greener the tone, the more favorably yes those towns voted. So I think it's interesting that the college towns in the Pioneer Valley where UMass is, they strongly voted yes for this.
I love it.
And Ayer is right here, and we voted yes. It was enough to, easily enough to pass, but it was not as strongly a yes vote as you see.
Brings a new meaning to being a green community.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds
Or the
like.
Happy Valley.
Look at that.
Right.
The Happy Valley is.
And
I'm out there Thursday night for a function.
and interesting, some of the areas in the 128 belt and also the lower part of the Cape voted against it.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Somewhat
I-
interesting.
No, I don't. Well,
Well,
no.
No.
the
No.
old money down in Chatham,
The older people with money.
right, yes. Whereas Provincetown voted yes. I'm not commenting on anything there,
Yeah.
but Party Town.
Oh, man, that's gonna went no.
I'm sorry?
My hometown went no.
Yeah.
The blue.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That's just New Hampshire South.
this comes
It is
into
what it was.
play,
Pretty much, yeah.
if a
But
town
we feel so
voted,
liberal when
Well,
we're
this is
not
the
in
key
New
part.
Hampshire that we forget that we're not in the Pioneer Valley. Sorry, okay,
This is
Now-
digress.
Methuen.
if a town voted,
We gotta keep it interesting.
where this comes into play is the ability to do moratoriums and to limit the number of
Right.
establishments. And if you vote yes, you're more limited in what you can do to limit the number of these
Right.
sorts of establishments. Whereas if the town voted no, it's a little easier to establish a moratorium, at least, I think, until the end of 2019. I'm not sure what the status of that will be in the future, going past that point. But, that's how the state law was written. So what the bylaw does and does not do, the bylaw does not allow more than one retail establishment at the present time. Allowing more than one retail establishment would require further action by town meeting by a 2/3 supermajority vote. So this bylaw is mostly concerned with regulating the location and operation of cultivation, which I think will be the biggest type of application we receive. Retail, again, we're limiting it to one, but we do have to have some provisions in there. In case, for instance, the existing one goes out of business, you know, we're obligated by the bylaw to allow at least one retail, so we have to have a place for that. Product manufacturing would be mostly for the edibles and that sort of thing. Sometimes the cultivation and the product manufacturing are co-located, such as in the facility in Littleton that Alan and I got to tour about a month ago. Laboratory testing is a big upcoming thing in this because of the state's requirement that, you know, any contaminants or pesticides, herbicides, whatever, be tested for these, you know, to make sure that it's, you know, as healthy as possible. Research and development and transportation is another category of facilities that require licensing. So these enterprises are to be confined to the general business, industrial, and light industrial zoning districts, which I will show on the map shortly. And also, one of the fears that, you know, the working group had was, you know, we don't want to see people that are just,
Tire kickers, just.
yeah, right, tire kickers. They're just trying to see, you know, they're just, you know,
Testing
sort
the
of.
waters, yeah.
Exactly. They're just sort of they're not really super serious about pursuing this, but they want to, you know, file an application with the planning board and maybe go through a 2-month process, only to say, well, we don't have the capital or the wherewithal or the capacity to manage this sort of operation. So there are many steps in the state licensing process to get your final opening license, you know, and it takes a long time, as we've seen. So about halfway through the process is something called the provisional license, which so far there have been 118, and I read this in the Boston Globe, which has been doing a series of articles on this. 118 provisional licenses have been issued in the state for not only retail, but for cultivation and research and all the other host of types of facilities. But so far, I think only 14 retail establishments have opened and perhaps that many cultivation facilities. So you can see it takes a while to go from your provisional license to the final opening permission.
So Mark, this
Yes.
this is not germane to what you're talking about, but do we know offhand how many dispensaries we have in the Commonwealth?
No, I don't. I could look that up.
I'm just
Medical?
yeah, medical marijuana
Medical.
dispensaries. I'm just curious because of the provisional licenses that are granted. If you have, my understanding is, and I may be very wrong, but if you have a permit from the Commonwealth for a medical marijuana dispensary, you probably also have a provisional license in hand, which is, I'm assuming, what's going on with Mr. Hillier's property.
Right.
It's not open yet because the state hasn't brought him into the fold, but I'm going to guess he actually holds a provisional license, and that is the same entity holding both licenses in
Yes,
town right
he
now.
holds a provisional license
So-
now. I'm not sure if just being a medical establishment gives you the provisional, like automatically. I
Well,
think
no,
you
but if you
have to
think,
apply.
I think this may have happened before you were here in town.
Yeah.
But it comes, the assumption is if you have a dispensary, you're first in line,
Yes.
okay?
exactly.
You jump to the front of the queue. And so I'm assuming, and so the question is, there's 118 provisional licenses out there.
Yes,
If we subtract the number of dispensaries, which might be 20,
Ah.
that's a sizable number.
right.
Okay, so when you're dealing with just the raw numbers themselves, and this may,
Yes.
the argument may work against us also, but there may be some concern about the number. That's a
Yeah.
365 cities and towns, or 360 cities and towns, and 120. A third of them have licenses, but we may find that they already exist because of dispensaries.
And actually, even before you get to the provisional license, I might want to actually switch the order of this. The first thing that a prospective operator of one of these establishments needs to do is meet with the selectmen to get what's called a host community agreement. And I believe Gage Cannabis did that months ago.
Long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah. They've been very proactive in the process and very open about the whole process.
Right, so that's actually one of the first steps. I
Yeah.
actually have I've downloaded the Cannabis Control Commission regulations, which are very legalese, but, I have them. And so that's been informative this process.
Enlightening reading.
So, basically, by obtaining a host community agreement and then the provisional license as part of their application package to us, we pre-vetted sort of the applicants so that only ones who are serious and have the ability to follow through will be coming before the planning board for special permit and/or site plan review. And we thought that was a good process that was actually recommended when we had a meeting with KP Law about this. She recommended that would be a good procedure. So some of the major issues that were considered in drafting the bylaw. Oh, yes, one.
Because Kylie's issue, she probably has input to this, so this, if I read the process right, and you said you had to have the community agreement, what's to prevent multiple people coming before the Board of Selectmen to try to get that? How are you guys gonna control the number of people that wanna get that agreement?
The host community agreement.
So there's no formal process, each city and town adopts it differently. So we get probably 10 calls a week from
Right.
perspective,
Right.
but once, they've done some due diligence and can show us where they're at, then we entertain sitting down with them. We just get a lot of cold calls right now. Can we do it? We say we're gonna wait till June 10th. So we're internally working on that process. Some towns, we're okay on the retail. We have one that's grandfathered, obviously. And those host agreements with a retail establishment are far more in-depth than if you were cultivating because it's less impact on the surrounding areas. So once we get past June 10th, we'll have more of a formal process put together, while we're still kind of working that out in anticipation that that's going to happen.
Right, and we'll most likely need a new form that's, based on our special permit site plan application form that goes into a little more detail for this sort of thing, since it's such a special type of operation. So we'll be crafting those. But some of the issues that were considered is the state allows towns to designate a buffer or separation from marijuana establishments to preschools, schools, public parks, and residential zoning districts. Some towns have expanded that to like daycares and that sort of thing, but there was a concern of the working group that daycares can open and close rapidly, and there's, they're not as strictly regulated as preschools, which, have, much more established presence in the town. And so we looked at those. And it was a feeling of the working group that a 200-foot buffer would be sufficient to protect those, what we call sensitive receptors of the schools, public parks, and the zoning districts from these operations. And as most of these operations will be non-retail, and I would dare to say that most of these will be non-visible, probably from a public road if they're in the industrial district. It'll be easy to meet that 200-foot buffer. So I'm going to get to the use table that we're proposing in a moment, but all of these establishments would require a special permit from the planning board, and special permit is good because it's discretionary. Site plan is assumed to be sort of a as of right use. If you meet the site plan criteria, the planning board essentially has to approve the site plan, whereas with special permit, if we feel that we don't have enough information, or they're not meeting the spirit of the law, or they're giving us what we think is, bogus information, whatever, we certainly have the right to deny a special permit, backing it up with reasons.
Exactly.
And so that gives the town a little more discretion. So we have the ability to develop specific special permit criteria in addition to the normal criteria that we have in the zoning bylaw, such as meeting neighborhood character, traffic safety, lighting, pollution and that sort of thing. So we will develop those. One thing that's very important too is that commercial outdoor cultivation is prohibited. Cultivation of marijuana is not considered an agricultural use at all. It's more of an industrial thing, though I must say that there is a type of business that I will be describing here called a craft cooperative, which is sort of, I think, targeted more to the western Massachusetts agricultural areas where really you have fields that are hundreds of acres in size where you could, hide the pot plants behind corn or whatever. But, it might be possible to do outdoor cultivation in a legal fashion in those places, but Ayer is not one of those places. One thing that we were, told about, in fact, the question came up is, can people grow plants, in their house, they're limited to 6 plants.
Per adult.
Per adult, maximum
Per
12.
adult, okay. And I guess technically, somebody could grow the small amount of plants in their yard as long as it's not visible from a public way or perhaps from an abutter. So everything has to be, discreet. And, but, commercial outdoor cultivation is prohibited. Because that question did come up. It's like, what about the community gardens? No. But we were asked that question. So.
Only by special permit.
That'd be fine.
So how would Ayer benefit from having the marijuana establishment bylaw? First of all, in a regulatory fashion, by giving the town, through its planning board, a much greater degree of control over where and how these establishments will be operated. The special permit requirement gives the planning board a lot more discretion. If we did not have the bylaw, it would be, we would have to operate just under the existing bylaw, treat them as any other commercial or industrial use. And we do have some good stuff in there, but, by making more specific criteria for this type of use, we can actually regulate it in a better fashion. Economically, through increased and more efficient use of land and buildings in the industrial and general business districts. I obtained a report from Tom Hogan, the chief assessor, stating that there are about 65 acres of vacant industrial land and 34 acres of vacant general business land in town. Not all of that is developable. In fact, probably quite a few of those acres of industrial land are on the railroad corridor, so you're not going to see that type of operation along the railroad tracks, but it's zoned industrial along there. So. But we wanted to get an idea of how much land we have. This could also potentially, will increase Ayer's commercial and industrial tax base, which will generate additional tax revenue for the town and generate new jobs, many relatively high-paying in the growing and labor-intensive cannabis industry. And that's a point that I'd like to make is the labor-intensive part. That when Alan and I did the tour of the facility in Littleton, the first thing we noticed was, first of all, we were trying to smell from the outside. We couldn't, but maybe we have heard that people in that neighborhood have complained about odors, but maybe it's when they're doing a certain thing. But on the day we were there, which was a clear day, we couldn't smell anything outside. Second thing we noticed was how many people are employed in the facility. They have experts in cultivation, agronomists, scientists who have to measure everything to the microgram and all this sort of thing. So it's a very, from what we could tell, it's a very labor-intensive industry. Probably a fair amount of those people get, good wages, I would imagine. Not everybody, but it looks like, it has the ability to generate significant quality jobs. And there's also benefits of the town, by provisions in the host community agreements to offset any costs due to increased policing, fire safety inspections, public health inspections, etc. Those things are negotiated between the selectmen and the business that is doing these. The host community agreement for a retail operation can specify the local tax, which can be up to 3% of the sale of the product, so, and I believe that was the case with Gage Cannabis. So the town will be receiving 3% sales tax from any transaction that is done there. With the non-retail, it's a little bit different. You know, we can get a financial impact, you might say, financial impact statement, but it's got to be related to the cost of doing business for the town. But, you know, the way that was written is to make sure that towns are not spending money to police these things, you know, that we have the ability to obtain funds to do that. Here we go with the types of enterprises. We have the retailers, which we're limiting to one. Then you have cultivation, which most of the time will be indoors in large industrial buildings. And here you see fairly typical, I just got this online from Google Images. This isn't what the one in Littleton looks like quite, but you know, you get the idea. You have, you know, these very strong lights and fields of plants growing underneath them, sometimes hydroponically. So it's a very energy intensive type of use, and that's something we can look at too, is reducing the energy load with our special permit criteria. You have product manufacturing, which is the edibles or refined products, oils. You know, I've noticed if you go to the websites of some of these facilities, they actually make vape pen inserts. You know, there's a whole host of
There's a
things
variety of
that-
products
There's a
that they
variety of
manufacture.
products that I never knew existed
Yes.
until I went on the websites, and it's just,
It's booming.
yes, it's quite the field. And that's why they need all these scientists and technicians to do that. Then you have the testing laboratories to make sure that the product meets all the safety requirements as far as pesticides and herbicides, and also I think there might even be limits on the amount of THC allowed in the product, and, you know, per edible or per, you know, whatever.
Yes.
And so, you know, the testing labs have to, you know, test these periodically. Research facilities, which are looking into, you know, hybridization and all of that, genetics, plant genetics is huge. The craft cooperative is what I mentioned before, which is probably more of a Western Massachusetts type of enterprise where you could have relatively small scale cultivation, sometimes outdoors. Cooperative framework, meaning it's following the co-op business model, and you have to strictly follow that in order to get a license for this. I doubt we will see any of these in Ayer, but
Unlikely.
it's one of the types of enterprises that the Cannabis Control Commission issues licenses for. And then you have licensed transporters, which probably will not be a, you know, isolated, self-contained thing, but it's part of the other operations. This is because all product has to be strictly followed. There's something called the seed to sale tracking system, which is to ensure that product is not
Fall
allocated.
off the truck.
Right, fall off the truck, or, you know, makes it to the black market, or whatever. You know, it's very strictly controlled. In fact, the retail recreational in Salem, I believe, was closed temporarily because of some problem with their tracking system. And they're still closed, and they have to work that out. So that's another degree of safety for the town, is that the Cannabis Control Commission itself has a regulatory enforcement arm. So they're inspecting these facilities all the time, just as our health agents can also do inspections.
Just a very quick note about
Yes.
security. That's really important. For very obvious reasons, you can't have regularly scheduled deliveries for security reasons. So what you do then is that there's an agreement with the retail, with all these enterprises, with the police, and there's a protocol of notification, et cetera. But it's done, it has to be done on the fly, it is done on the fly, but it's arranged in advance with the police and negotiated, a process is negotiated. But again, it can't be set as a quote schedule, because that would compromise security.
Right, it's like if you know the Brinks armored truck is coming by at 9 o'clock every
That's
morning,
where you're gonna be.
we'll be ready on the rooftops.
Exactly. So, just so you know.
So, right. The last category of enterprise is what's called the micro business, and this is, you may have seen part of the articles in the Boston Globe in this series is, it's been the state is having a hard time meeting this equity
Yes.
thing with minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses and people who are not as well capitalized. And this is an attempt to allow, more ordinary people to get into business and to have small-scale cultivation and product manufacturing, but not retail. And I'm not sure if any of those have actually opened in Massachusetts, but it's one of the business types. And, that could be very suitable for Ayer because, there may be people who do not have the ability to open a, 40,000 square foot cultivation, but they might be able to do 5,000 square feet. So that's 5,000 square foot being the limit of cultivation for a micro business. Yeah. So the table of uses, this, just like our regular zoning table, you have the zoning districts up above. A1, A2, and GR are the residential zoning districts, and you will notice that there's a big N, no, for any type of marijuana establishment in the retail zone. So if you live in a residential. If you live in a residential zoning district, you will not have a marijuana establishment coming into your neighborhood.
An approved one by the town.
Right, somebody next door might be doing something in their basement, I don't know, but okay. Downtown business, also it was strongly expressed at the October 2017 town meeting that the town did not want these enterprises in the downtown. So that's also the reason we have no's across the board there. The mixed-use transitional district is Central Avenue. We do have the existing medical establishment there, so they're grandfathered, but a new one would not be able to locate in the mixed-use district. Also, given the fact that the mixed-use district is within 200 feet of residential districts, it would be practically impossible for them to meet that buffer requirement. So, for practical purposes, and also due to the fact that we're trying to do other things in that district, we have a no for that small area. Yes, Ken?
What are the chances that somebody comes into town knowing we have these two establishments already here, both of which are within the 200 feet, and say, hey, you've established a precedent already in the town of Ayer, and we've got two establishments within 200 feet, and give me a variance, I want to go in one of these areas.
Well, people could apply for a variance, and we'll see what happens. But
What kind of?
I doubt. Well, see, you could argue, and I think it's a strong argument, that this bylaw is separate from what was done for those establishments because they came under the previous October 2017
Well, the medical is either early.
bylaw.
Yeah.
Right. But, they were not required to adhere to any buffer requirements. So, they do not fall under the bylaw that we're proposing here, so they're technically grandfathered. So, I would argue that they do not constitute a
Precedent?
precedent in
So-
this case.
But interesting, if we take that one step farther, Compassionate Care wants to expand their business,
Well, they could do that, and the other thought I had.
expand the
was
footprint of their building.
If Compassionate Care leaves, is that building allowed to be used again for that use? It's not, right?
No.
I'm curious.
Another vendor, let's say he
I'm-
sells
I'm
it.
cu- I'm curious.
Let's say he sells it.
I'm
They went to
curious.
license it. They want to put an addition on.
See, there's that, well, I look upon liquor licenses, and when a restaurant or a bar or a tavern changes hands,
The license.
the license may or may not go with the location. Inside Boston, there's so many locations that you could have an establishment at, that the license may or may not be, it may go in a pool or not. It's not assumed that the purchaser will automatically get the license. And the process of getting a liquor license is, if you're gonna buy an establishment, you go through the approval process beforehand. So, I think it's a gray area or an unknown area. What would happen if a variance had already, if a pre-existing non-compliant exists?
Right.
Yeah, similar to what just happened with the solar on the thing. Laws change, we have to address it. The solar on the landfill, things will change. but I think we'll have to cross that bridge at that point. The good news is, I don't know how much space they've got down there to expand into, but then again, they've got the Apple next door, so.
Well, what if he wants to put let's say he owns a piece of land on the side, he's trying to put a parking lot in. He wants to put an addition on and expand the business in that location. Does it
we
come
will
back
check
to
with-
us for site plan and special permit and all that?
They may, I will have to check into that.
Assuming there's no
That's-
conservation concerns about that property, yeah, I think so.
Maybe subject to your threshold you have now, which is substantial reconstruction.
Right.
Yeah.
If it, if we just have, what is your definition of substantial reconstruction?
The
Which
site
we
plan
talked
is like
about
5
before,
parking
so-
spaces, that's all.
And they would be, subject to a site.
I think so.
plan
They have to come back.
Let's cross that bridge.
Right.
What would you suggest? Did you already have an idea of what you
No,
would
no,
do
I'm
differently,
just,
Ken?
I'm just.
You're looking at an
devil's
investment,
advocate,
Ken?
Well, that's what I'm checking. I'm curious.
I'll look into that because that's a very good question that did not come
Yeah.
up before, was what about expansion of existing grandfathered uses? That's a good question. I will look into it.
And Mark's got a point about, sorry, Mark, Alan's got a point about parking and stuff like that. That's a fairly restricted piece of property there.
Right, but it's only
Size.
restricted now, but you can buy property adjoining and you can extend and you can move down the street and many options.
Yeah. So to get back to the use table, the boxes in green are where they're allowed by special permits. We kept medical as site plan only because that's the least intensive, and given that we have one now, we're very unlikely to get an additional one. And that would be in GB and LI. From what I saw, they don't make, they're not where the money is, and people.
That's
really
right.
want
That
to
business
go with-
model is now
Yeah,
gone,
right.
it's wiped out because of the retail.
Right.
No
The
one's going
adult
to be
use
building any
retail.
more medical marijuana dispensaries. The business model's wiped
Right.
out.
And all the ones that have opened so far, like Leicester and a few others, I think they were at one time medical. So they still have that medical component to them. I'm not sure if any have opened that are totally new. There may be one, I was reading in the Boston Globe. So, if the existing or the to-be existing retail operation went out of business, we're saying that, they would be able to, one establishment would be able to locate in the general business zone or light industrial. And we'll look at the zoning map in a moment. Non-retail includes all the other types of establishments that I listed on the previous slide. So that's the cultivation, product manufacturing, laboratory testing, transportation, all that. All of those are special permits in the same districts. General business, light industrial, and industrial. Micro business, essentially the same. One thing that's important to note here too, and it was felt very strongly by the working group, is to prohibit social consumption facilities, which are marijuana bars, so to speak, where you can just go into just like you can go get a beer down at bar 25. You're not going to be able to do that for this. So far, the state prohibits these across the board, but I read again in the series of articles in the Boston Globe that they're thinking about allowing these, at a state level, probably with very strict oversight, but they have not got to that point yet. So we're sort of anticipating that ahead of time by saying that towns do have the ability to say no to any of these types of establishments. If they believe it's not in their interest. There may be towns that want to do that sort of thing, maybe Boston or something, but, Ayer, not that type of place. And so that's how we've crafted the table of uses for these establishments.
I didn't know if we were supposed to ask questions as we go along.
Oh, no, yes,
It's okay.
yes,
We're-
yes, now is the
informal.
time.
But
Yes.
this is a general question before I get into specifics. So the definitions that are here, are these the definitions right out of the state, out of the model? Or-
Yes, most of these are from the model in the Pioneer Valley or from the Cannabis Control Commission.
In the table, is the words in the table on the left-hand side, the principal uses, are those also from the model?
Those are from other bylaws, like the way originally I was thinking of separating out cultivation from product manufacturing and that sort of thing, but one of the working group members said, well, we do it just as non-retail, because all the non-retail is going to be fairly similar. And so, group those together. It makes for a simpler table, and, you know,
It's kind of some of the definitions, like on the front page, you got marijuana establishment, then you have marijuana establishment non-retail.
Yep.
But under marijuana establishment, some of the same language is there, including the word marijuana retailer in the first part. And then there's another marijuana retailer on the second page.
It's supposed to be.
But under the table, it says, I think there's some kind of an overlap here that we might have to take a look at when we get
All right, well,
on the definitions.
yeah, so this has been posted, and we do, because, you know, we have the ability to continue the public hearing. If changes are made,
No, we're cool.
April 9th, we can
But that,
Yeah, just very
announce
quick,
those, and it will be, you know, continued to the 23rd. So we can modify this
yeah,
if need be.
but you know, the taxonomy question is very simple. Marijuana establishment is the higher level rubric. Underneath, marijuana established non-retail is one type, marijuana establishment
is
retail is another kind of type.
yeah, right.
Underneath that,
Then in the table, should we have the word, do we need the word marijuana establishment in the table as well? We have marijuana establishment micro business.
You have that,
but you
have
We have marijuana establishment non-retail.
Yeah.
We don't have marijuana establishment.
But that's
That
it's
breaks
that
it down.
marijuana establishment, I think, is the overall of all of this, is all
be the
marijuana
heading of the-
establishments.
Yeah, so when you talk about retailer, consumer sales only, and then non-retail,
All
that
of it's
captures
marijuana
all of them
establishment.
except for the
It's
medical.
broken down to retailer,
Well, in micro
non-retail.
business, so if
Right.
you want to do the micro, we broke out micro business because, you know.
If you
I
read
think
the
it's
bylaws, they
somewhat
do
separate.
ME, everybody figure out ME.
May I suggest that in the interest of time, we continue with the presentation?
Oh.
And let's flesh this out.
Yes,
And
and-
no, it's very good to have
Please,
another
I
set of
think this
eyes
is a
looking
good
at it,
discussion.
but
In fact, if anybody, you know, email me or call me with any questions you have or any points to make this better and tighter. The working group went through several meetings, and we did make refinements. We made some refinements based on the advice of KP Law initially, and
Just let it go.
but there may be some more that are needed. So, special permit criteria, you know, that we can address minimizing the impact of traffic and noise. Odors generated from the facility. I've been talking to other planners that have cultivation facilities in their town, some of which have had odor issues, and so the state of the art of how to control these odor issues is developing constantly. And so we're all learning from each other, and we can maybe even codify some of these things in a set of regulations that accompany this bylaw, just as we have regulations that accompany our zoning bylaw. So these are items that we can address in the special permit criteria. Security measures, just as Jonathan mentioned, any conditions that would enhance security, safety, compatibility with community character. One thing I've noticed, most cultivation facilities are not identifiable even as you drive by them. The place in Wimbledon, if we didn't know what it was, you wouldn't know what it was. I mean, it looks like any other industrial building or in a park industrial setting. We can also talk about energy efficiency and conservation, hours of operation, and also ensure compliance with the host community agreement, which all establishments must adhere to agreement with the Board of Selectmen. We may even have an annual compliance review to have these companies come back to us every year and to go through any problems they've had, or if issues have come up through the inspections, how to fix those, and that sort of thing. You're all familiar with the zoning map, but this was really important for the public information session to point out where the various districts were, the pink or the general business. So you have this along Park Street there to some extent, as well as West Main Street, the area around the Rotary. These are general business. Small area right here, which is being developed with residential now, Shaker Road. So that will probably fall out as someplace that people are looking to do this. I think we're going to see most of the establishments in this area, the purple
just makes sense.
industrial zone, the heavy, what used to be called heavy industrial. In fact, we've had several inquiries about properties in here already. So I think we're going to see most of the cultivation and non-retail establishments wanting to locate in our industrial zone, which makes sense. There's also a bit of a light industrial zone up here with the border with Shirley, and right by the Moore Airfield Airport, and some of that might also be suitable. It's far from residential areas. So between this area and that area, I think we'll see most of the establishments. And the ones that Carly has referred to me to look up the zoning happen to fall mostly in this area, and one or two have fallen in this area. So I think that's where we're going to see those. Lastly, we have a map showing the buffers. What you see in the green hatching is the areas that are either zoned industrial or general business. And this sort of dark green line is 200 feet from any residential district extending into the industrial districts. So you couldn't site one of these within 200 feet, and so that shows you where that is. Purple represents the schools and the preschools in the 200-foot buffer zone from those. So here you have the Page Hilltop Elementary and the Ayer Shirley Regional High School with a 200-foot buffer, but in a way it sort of doesn't really matter in this case because the surrounding zoning is all residential. So, but we wanted to show this. Here you have the town beach at Sandy Pond. Again, it's zoned residential around that. Peroni Park, though, could come into play a little bit because there is this industrial zone by Plow Shop Pond that has some older industrial buildings in there where conceivably something might want to site. So we would have to measure 200 feet from the border of Peroni Park there. So for town recreation and educational establishments that might affect the location of these, I think Peroni Park, and there's also the Air Kitty Depot or something right up there that has a 200-foot buffer around it that also borders on the industrial district. So that may have a bearing on where some of these can locate. But otherwise, most of it is far away from residential areas. And that's the presentation.
Thank you.
If you have any recommendations for refining this for the public hearing, I would love to hear it.
I would ask one addition of one word.
Okay.
When you're defining establishments,
Yes.
non-retail, the word testing is in there. I would recommend putting the word product before the word testing.
Oh, product testing.
Just so somebody doesn't think, well, you can smoke the pot that they grow to see if it's any good.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like quality control
still could do
testing.
that.
Yeah.
No, but when I read it going across,
You can still do that anytime.
well, I appreciate that. But no, it's, you added the word product testing
Yes.
in every case, but it's the scientific testing of the product for pesticide content
Right.
and I'm assuming THC
Yeah.
content.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, it's extraordinarily sophisticated. THC,
Oh, yeah.
CBD, other active terpenes, and they are on it like white on rice.
But just, we're gonna put this in front of a group of people in the room, it's like, wait a minute, they're growing and smoking it in that building, and that's, I don't wanna get lost in that rabbit hole.
That ain't happening.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's,
I watched the outreach you did last week on the cable, when they replayed it.
yeah.
And there were quite a few pretty good questions, and I thought you guys did a great job, so. I don't have an issue with it, I'm
Right.
thankful that it's so comprehensive, I just wanted to clarify where some of the things came from, that's all.
And
It's a nice piece of work, I think.
it is, and not, I don't wanna belittle, I don't wanna discount what you're saying, but every single zoning bylaw and zoning, over time, our uses change, and we end up in a situation where we'll be challenged by something we can't think of.
Of course.
So, we wouldn't have a job if we had that figured out.
Right.
We would have a volunteer occupation. Fantastic. I don't have my agenda in front of me. Is that what is, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will take out my USB stick.
Thanks very much.
Always have lots of agendas.
Okay, Alan, you ready to talk?
Yes, I'm going to go very quickly.
You're gonna use the board, or you gonna, or not?
Yeah,
So-
very quick, just for a brief thing.
Do you mind if I continue to sit here?
That sounds good to me.
Thanks.
Oh, Alan, you might need the clicker
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
to advance
Actually, I'll actually stand up. I just love swiping that.
Oh, you wanna swipe?
I love swiping that.
This ain't Tinder, my friend.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard, that's the second time I've heard that this week, and I had no idea what swiping meant.
I still don't know which way you're supposed to do it. My kids know what it means, left, right, I don't know which.
Not just now.
Like, no?
No.
Right means
yeah,
maybe?
Yes, yeah.
I've now
But I've
learned,
never done that. Yeah.
I've now learned more than I've ever wanted to know. Thank you. Mr. Alan Minoyan.
And
Director
I'm
of
not,
Economic and
you know,
Community
I was planning on doing a presentation on, when I was here last time, we did go through,
Thank you.
step by step, the code. So I just want to do a quick update. As is the case with the marijuana bylaw, we have submitted the draft of the form-based code to KP Law for legal counsel, so we're awaiting, again, a response for legal review on such. But I did just want to say a couple of changes, and I did make some copies of this tonight, and
Yeah, you did,
there's some
sure.
extra ones
Thank
here
you.
even. A couple more there, there's one here. But just quickly, on the first page, just under intent and purpose, you know, I cited that, you know, that this is based, of course, on the master plan adopted, our complete streets policy. I also inserted, I want to put, it's also consistent with our newly approved open space and recreation plan. It's consistent with that, so I wanted to cite that. And I also cited that our form-based code is consistent with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts 10 Principles of Sustainable Development. So I just put in there just to qualify, this is the foundation of what this is, the legitimacy it's based on. On page 4, 8.7.8, just describing, you know, the district and its purposes and all that, I really benefited from Jonathan's comment about affordable housing, and this is, you know, and I when I was laying that out, I didn't do it, so I inserted there, and it's in green, just one more qualifying purpose statement of saying also, in addition to all the others, to better accommodate and deliver accessible, safe, healthy, and affordable housing stock in close proximity to various employment opportunities and multimodal public transportation. So thank you, John, that was very important to have there under those. And then you'll notice I've also inserted, we have a little bit of new visual content.
Yeah.
I can add them because it's non-regulatory what they're doing, but it's very important. I also have added in, see, this is from form-based code, you keep thinking, oh, there's another cooler thing I can do, there's another. But I added just to clarify some of the frontage types, some very diagrammatic, and you want to keep helping making this diagrammatic.
Actually, I find this extremely helpful.
Yeah, so I added that in.
You're gonna finally let the rest of the world know what a stoop is, huh?
Yeah, we all know what stoops are.
We all know what
We just
stoops
think
are,
we don't know what they
but we are
Yeah.
codifying what a stoop is here. You gotta be careful.
One of my fondest memories, Jeff, my grandmother lived in back central Lowland,
Yeah.
Bassett Street, and when I was a little kid, we'd go to the, what we called the old house in front. And one of the greatest things, and I grew up in more of a suburban, that we would sit out on their front stoops, all the neighbors, we'd sit out there with kids, and it's one of the most
Yep.
wonderful memories of my life. It's like, I miss that living in suburbs, you know, it's like, wow, that was.
The loss of the stoop, man, has killed us as a society.
And also just saying from our, the diagrammatic
That's very
panels, which
nice.
are regulatory, these are the new and improved diagrammatic panels that I did with Scott Collard. The ones you looked at were a little primitive, so we've actually
What
improved
page number?
those.
Thank you.
Oh, they're on various.
14.
ones, like, you know,
14
page
is one?
14.
Oh, okay, great.
So it's just enhanced, we keep refining the visual content.
Yep.
So that, I just wanted to cite, and then there was one other thing that did. Oh, I remember. Ken Diskin made what I thought was a very good observation on our proposed T.5.1, our traditional neighborhood district. This was with regard to the frontage build-out, meaning, all right, I'm putting a building on my parcel, and what's the minimum, you know, I need to have that frontage? And I had 60%. I'm sorry, this is on page 24. Sorry. Going fast.
Good, thank you.
Page
Oh, there we go.
24.
Okay,
It's a
good.
panel, and again, I did it in green. And frontage build-out, I originally had 60%, meaning if you have your house, 60% of that house needs to, cover that front, which creates your street wall and all that. It was a little much, so I dropped that down to 40%. So just think about the width of your average little residential lot. By the way, if you look though, which I love doing, if you look out here at the houses that are here on Pleasant Street, Kings in the corner, they are built out to probably 80 to
Yeah,
90%.
they're very close
So
to
this is what, we gotta understand, these lots are narrow and deep. They're not, in a suburban development, we turn the houses along so they're long. In historic, you had narrow fronts with deep lots. That's why we love historic neighborhoods, because there's this constant house after house after house, because we did narrow lots. And that's why these houses tend to fill up the frontage of those lots. But I did a minimum, that's a minimum of 40, so you can still do it. But I thought that was a good observation. Just makes it a little bit more flexible. So that was added in. And the other thing I just want to make sure with you folks, the trigger, and I've already had some interaction with our legal counsel. This code is going to be deployed with all the same use table for the most part. We'll talk about, we added a couple things there that were oddities. It's going to have the same parking matrix, parking use table, same as the downtown business district. And I'm not changing at all the triggers, if you will. What will trigger someone saying, oh, am I going to be subject to this code? I want to do something with my building here. It's consistent with what we have, if it is substantial reconstruction. I think we're pretty conservative. A substantial reconstruction, the definition of that in there, is 25% of the assessed value of the property. So if I'm going to make an improvement, do anything on my land that totals 25% of my assessed value or more, I am now subject to this code. Normally with form-based codes, we up that threshold to, well, like 50% of the value, like 25 is so I'm saying this is what it was.
You can redo a kitchen and get that.
Thank you. I'm like, that to me is a pretty low threshold, but that's what we currently have. So I'm going with that. Okay. And the other thing I just want to revisit with you all. Right now, as we said, multifamily dwellings are not permitted in the downtown. I think we all agreed. We are going to that should be allowed and permitted. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do.
We didn't vote on that.
Townhouses, I think that's what we did. Townhouses, fine. I'm going to double check with all you folks. Right now, I'm proposing that gas stations, any new gas stations, not be permitted to be developed in the downtown district.
Makes perfect sense.
And I just want to know if you all concur with that.
They're allowed now?
They are allowed now.
Gas stations are allowed.
We have
Multifamily is
special
not.
dimensional rate and all that for it. Frankly, guys, again, this is what, we have 2 large gas stations in the downtown right now.
I know, this is amazing.
It just uses an amazement, and I think that this gets to how we use and maximize our land. I really don't think the right place for large gas stations is in this little downtown area.
That's why I made that funny expression, because I have
we
seen
understood it.
beautiful
It read a
towns,
whole.
otherwise beautiful towns, destroyed by suddenly, there's a gas station that takes up a couple of lots,
With a little one-story building.
one little story with a little,
businesses.
and it permanently alters the character of the
Well,
street.
it's the underground tanks here take that thing
And
out.
that is another
And
issue.
then-
I really
I mean, there's a place, I'm not
There's
against, but
pushback
not
on
the
that.
What about a
downtown.
retro look, like with the liquor sign?
Well, you
We just
could
have
now.
one and a little pump.
The other thing, if you wanted to allow these
Ding, ding, ding,
stations,
you
then you don't let
Gotta make
Julie,
it
we
great.
write highly prescriptive development
And I'm
standards.
right there with you. I gotta keep it
If you
entertaining or I
wanna
don't
do
stay
that.
awake.
But I really think, I'm comfortable at this point in the history of this town saying, guys,
No.
down to Park Street was gasoline alley. This is what it was. That's why it's one massive underground tank farm now. We've been dealing with for a generation.
What's really interesting is I was actually surprised that this came up, and meaning to ask, and maybe this is the right or wrong time, I don't know. Has this gone out to the other departments and other boards in town to take a look at? Because whether or not you know it, I believe it was Board of Health meeting, I happened to turn on the TV set, and they were talking about, and I'm assuming it's because of the form-based code. And the comment being made by the person at the table was, we should do nothing to narrow Park Street because it's dangerous now.
We're not gonna narrow it, are we?
We're
Yeah.
not narrowing the street.
Are they, is that a
Putting
reflection of
sign.
the on-street parking? Is that
Yeah.
the issue? The on-street
It would
parking
make
issue?
it more dangerous because the speed,
Misunderstand.
whether you react to it or not, but I would be curious because I may have been Board of Health meeting that I was watching at the time.
Well, I would thoroughly enjoy going there and
I would,
really helping them understand
Oh,
traffic calming.
I actually
How
had,
you humanize the street, because what's going on out there is
It's
beyond
horrible.
dangerous.
given my predisposition,
I'm glad you- yeah.
no, but I was actually, it was interesting to see it, and, as you know, in other roles, I see this all the time. We had a ghost bike ceremony in the Fenway, and it's 6 lanes of traffic going by at 45 miles an hour. We're trying to hold a memorial service. It's a really interesting experience to do that, and the separation of safety from the area you're in. So I just wondering if you got any pushback. I just thought that was a very interesting comment to hear,
Oh, yeah, it'll be.
and I do believe it was Board of Health.
Yeah, I'd even, I'd have a fun again, that I'd say, well, okay, so let's do this. Here we have our Main Street downtown. Let's eliminate the on-street parking and the sidewalks. And I want you to look at that and say, Al, that's gonna make the street much safer. for
Well,
pedestrians."
what's interesting is,
Okay, so I'd challenge anyone to look at me straight in the eye and say, right?
yeah.
And then I will,
Well, I-
help enlighten them and.
Of course, Board of Health is, Board of Health is and I'm not throwing the Board of Health under the bus, it just happened to be the one I saw. But if you think about planning and you think about traffic, we use the words road diet all the time. And I just thought that was so funny.
And the other thing was that I would, we need to immediately forward the complete streets policy to that board if they
So-
have notes, so they can read it and understand what we've adopted
Yeah,
and
I
how and
just-
why. So this is actually good.
I was just curious, I don't know if
This
there's been any feedback or not.
There we go.
I think part of
Thanks,
this-
Alan.
Part of the misunderstanding on Park Street, and you've said, many times you've said it, but you kind of have to keep saying it, is that it's a 60-foot right-of-way. If you can start from that premise,
Yes.
people can envision that it's really, the
It-
right-of-way is much larger than what's paved and what's going on there, the location of the
It's almost
facility.
like,
You can't visualize it.
it's almost like, take the time to take the picture of Park Street from across the street at the gas station going straight up, and then draw,
Where the-
60 feet. Pick the middle line and go 30 feet each side.
Yeah.
And then show the buffer zones on it, show the zones on it.
Yeah, we will.
You know,
We'll
and-
show those profiles.
And of course, we're not gonna put parking right at the curb, right at
And
the
I'll tell
corner.
you
We're
why
gonna
this
do
is,
things that makes the thing, and of course, but it's just, and I'm
It's
saying this to
exceedingly,
support what's
It's
going on.
exceedingly difficult on Park Street. Just like when I show this stuff, I'm gonna show you here. It's shocking, it's foreign to people. Unlike usually, you do this stuff in other downtowns, as I said, where the downtown fabric was there, urban renewal wrecked it. People have memories, you bring it back, and they say, yes, Park Street. No, it has never functioned as a traditional human street. So when I show this stuff, people are literally, Alan, I can't see it, I
Can't
can't
imagine.
believe it, I
Yeah.
can't imagine this being this way. But after we do this, 5 years when it starts, no one will be able to imagine it as it is now, 10 years from now. So I can't even imagine that's how that
Just-
street once was.
Just think of our downtown during the parade,
Yes.
during the road race.
Yes.
It's a comfortable, wonderful place to be.
So
Can I go
anyway,
back to your gas
please,
station?
yes.
So, the way it's set up right now, it says auto sales and service establishment, public garage, which you know about, and gas station.
Yes.
In the downtown business, there's special permit by this board, by the planning board. So, if you wanna not include gas stations in there, should you think about not including auto sales and service
I
establishments?
did, I submitted to the recommending
So
not
it'll be the
permitted
same
auto
kind of
sales.
group.
Can I ask you to
What you
also,
want downtown should not be the auto-centric place designed for the automobile, it should be designed for the human.
well, one of the pushbacks I'm getting, and not so much anymore, is recharging stations.
Yes.
They are, so if you think about a gas station, you have a major fire hazard. And what makes the canopies, y'all think canopies make it nice to pump you gas when it's not raining, or when it's raining? The canopy is there in order to drop
It's got all-
fire
yeah,
retardant
it's got all the
on
stuff on
you in
it.
an emergency situation. Yeah, you can stay dry while you pump the gas, but that's not why it's there. And they require as the one we're doing over here on the way out to Harvard, they require a huge amount of footprint, a huge footprint.
Yes. it is.
However, recharging stations for non-internal combustion cars may or may not work. And we'll cross it.
We'll
cross that bridge
see
at some point.
recharging stations at our new commuter parking deck and at the future Depot Square by the commuter rail stations.
Well,
All those
actually,
stations,
you know-
and design them in again a very human scale way.
With autonomous vehicles, you can just send them out of town and charge
So
themselves.
that's right, all this is, so, this case, and again, you know, we have two we have a new gas station being built, of course, you know, out on
Yeah.
the Rotary, which in my opinion, and hopefully, and that's
More than-
Yes,
Much more than a gas station.
yes.
On the
It's not a
Harvard
gas
lawn,
station.
you joined too late. Just after the cemetery.
And Jonathan,
You could have been here for
John,
all the
by the
fun.
way,
Just
go on
after-
top.
Never mind, never mind, never mind.
And by the way, that's the second time that's been approved. It's moved,
It was
it'll
so
move
much
again.
fun.
I'll fill you in
Lancaster
later, I'll show you
programs.
the
The
plan.
plans came in today.
My money is it'll get moved again. But
And the whole point, by the way, of developing now a very, you know, clear development, place-based economics, that if all this goes right, the land which is being used for these gas will become too valuable, frankly, to use just as a gas station.
Oh, when you
This
say-
is the
when you-
point of
that's
this.
when
the way to do it.
when you say multi-use, okay, multifamily use, single gas station, final villages on curvilinear roads with single arterials comes to mind, to quote Courtney. But no, townhome and stacked housing with hidden parking.
Yes, this is right.
Parking
So
from
the
behind.
gas station, and of course, and right now, under our current zone, although it's woven in, you gotta really look to find it, you know, there were no drive-throughs and permitted downtown. I think well, that was it, you gotta really kind of look to find that, but there it
Can we
is.
expand that?
So anyway, so the code, you know, it's all looking good. Again, I'm just waiting, and I got my first response from legal today with some of the first stuff.
Okay.
So we'll get started again. We'll be all ready for the public hearing. And again, we'll get out a file of it, and we're gonna keep improving, by the way,
When is
some
the
of
public
the
hearing?
visual stuff. But I just wanted to show this quickly.
This one also?
This is from
Thank you.
my landscape architect. I'm working with Scott Collard. And just showing, you know, we're starting to, we're gonna have these illustrative panels, and as much as people look and think, oh, these are just fun drawings, they're not drawings, they're based on the actual numeric architectural parameters of what we're talking about here. So, you know, you just gotta start sort of wrapping your head around, you know, Park Street, there it is, right? There's the fire station right there. You know, there's Park and Main, yes, Park and Main, there. And you just start getting a sense of the development pattern, guys, like you're seeing. And right now, they're just blocks, they're not, they don't have fenestration because we're just doing the basic numeric parameter infill type look. And even you see, this is Little Mill Street down here, like this is where the subway is, you see we have infilled some neat buildings there. This is where the current mobile station is, and you see a beautiful new building right there next to the future Depot Square Park and commuter rail station. Here's the corner where our little one-story Santander Bank building is, which to me is the absolute 100%. So, and there you see a beautiful building. But let's, just quick, we'll try to do this. I think we'll
Here you go.
just. Sorry,
Can
yes.
you go back to that house?
Sorry, yes.
So, what I'm commenting is this particular building right here, in this little operation,
Yes.
that's, the downtown business district includes that.
It does. It actually crosses over, goes all the way to mechanics.
The other side of the strike, there's
But
some
I'm just
tracks.
focusing in
Yeah.
on really show parks. We can't show, you know, it would have been too expensive to pay him to start drawing.
You know, in your role as economic and community development manager, there's a really interesting radio piece on the changing of the small towns of America.
Yeah.
And it talks about losing hardware stores and supermarkets.
Thank you.
No.
We're lucky. We have a local hardware
But-
store. We have a new local
But
pharmacy.
what it goes on to say, yeah.
Thank you.
yes, but what it goes on to say is, those are not the harbingers of bad times. They happen because the times have changed in the local small town.
Yes. quite
Yeah,
right, yes.
and the fact that we've got Shop and Save back, we've two thriving hardware stores in
That's
town.
right, absolutely. Yes.
You know, so it's there are signs of life here.
Mhm. So just quickly, and what, you know, these are gonna be the visual aids that are gonna help the public to visualize this. I'm gonna be enlarging, by the way, these, but they're gonna be colored in,
Yeah.
so they'll be very vibrant, and then I'm gonna enlarge them really big, and I'm gonna,
Can the numbers go in order?
yes.
1, 3, 2, 4, 6, 5, 7, 8.
But did he do that? Why would he do that?
I'd appreciate that. I see it all the time.
Sorry, my main friends. That is what it is.
Hey, if you don't mind.
What the heck is this funny? So these are gonna be like a large, I'll have them like stationed
They're
out in town
added.
hall. I'll do show, like, I'll go up to Tiny's for an afternoon, spend it with these big things so people can, so we're gonna, and these will be on APAC, we're gonna do videos, we're gonna, gotta get it out there. But just like, getting a sense of, believe it or not, this is way down the end, that's the little, John, the park, the brick, I sort of tucked back there, and here you start seeing the new infill coming in. This is where the Napa place is right now.
My man.
This is where Napa is.
Is that the entire town out for a walk? That's the entire town out for a walk.
Yes.
Everybody, it's gonna
You
be a
could
place
lose a
to
few
be,
people.
Jeff.
And a car from
It's gonna be the
1980.
place to be, man.
Real honest.
And there's my Chrysler.
This is
Yeah.
further up. This is actually right
No.
there with the little, our current little municipally owned lot is right where the commuters park there, but done with a proper landscaping treatment.
What is-
And this is right here,
What's
is
the
where the
Chevy
current
Chase
Dunkin'
moving?
Donuts is, okay? And what you see now is a 3-story building. There can still be a neat little Dunkin' Donuts on the ground level with a cafe, residential, but there you see, and on this side, if it's becoming, it's a downtown street. This is going up to sort of where, this is where, like right now, New Car is, the empty barren lot right there. So it's starting, and there's the crosswalk, it's there sort of across from Dunkin' Donuts. So you start seeing these, a 3-story infill building, a 2-story, and you start seeing that variety. You have a sidewalk, you have on-street parking, it's a downtown street. I really like this one because this is now, New Car lot would be there. You can just see the commuter parking deck back there, and we see this as one of a beautiful pedestrian connective way from Park Street sort of up to our beautiful commuter parking deck. This is what's going to make it work as a great parking amenity, and now you've created this, and it's tiered, the land is tiered that way. So there you see.
Multimodal representation.
This is where the Fresh Air Sports Building is now, which, by the way, there are a few people competing to buy that. And what do they want to do with it? All of them. We're going to demolish them. We want to build a beautiful 3-story building right there, just like so as much as this seems like visionary, it's not.
No,
It's
it's
happening, and it actually wants to happen right now if we let it happen. This is actually looking up from down on Mill Street, down like if you're
Yep.
down by the subways and looking up. The corner here is where the Santander Bank building is. This is sort of wrapping around. Right now, it's the empty lot, the building that burned down next to Lagus's building. Actually, that is where Nick Lagus's building is, in the empty lot. And the folks that own that now are saying, we'd like to put up a beautiful 3-story building right there. This is happening now.
I didn't even know Mill Street was a street. I thought it was just Moore's driveway. I didn't even know that was an official street.
And here is if you're standing right across the street, so where the subway is, and this is right where the Santander Bank building is now, the little 1-story building. And there you have RT6.
How many stories?
That's a
is that?
4-story building. And don't freak out. You're gonna look,
You're not?
oh my God, it's so metropolitan. It's
No,
just
it's
one
exactly
additional
what you
story
want.
from what we have downtown right now,
It'll
and have
work
had since the
beautifully.
1870s.
Now, is everyone gonna be on their balcony at the same time?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Did they come out for a parade? Or like-
It's for
Okay, sure.
Yeah, you got,
You just start imagining, guys, so there's the Santander Bank building, this is like where, Nick Lagus is building there, a beautiful
I
opening
know
way
it's
for the
the
rail
important
trail. And
Have you been
yes,
carrying the
okay,
suitcase or
guys.
bag?
And, this is the really,
Oh, a dog.
where is that, what could,
You
what fine
needed
and wonderful
a dog.
place could
You
this
were
be?
missing dogs.
Love this architect.
we're missing
What the heck?
multimodal transportation and animals.
What is this, a
So-
line?
There's a dog right there.
No bicycles.
This is
There's
where
no
now
wheelchairs.
the current mobile station is here. Oops, I'm sorry. That's what it
Stroll.
goes.
Segway?
This is where the current mobile station is here.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the entry going down
Is it a
into,
monorail?
Real Depot Square Park. And over here is the sort of the medicine shop building. So
So-
what we have done and thought about doing, which would be cool, you have that building, and then you have your natural entryway in back to Depot Square Park, where the beautiful historic fountain will be relocated.
We're not driving in there to drop people
You're
off
not, I'd
either.
like to make it a VUNERF, actually,
A what?
which means a VUNERF. Oh, so you weren't around when I was doing my VUNERF presentation. WOONERF. You've been to, you traveled to the, to Amsterdam.
Yeah, tell me what a
The
VUNERF is.
VUNERF, it's a space supposed to be designed both for cars and pedestrians all together designed, so a car can't go over it, but it's, we'll talk. But this is just opening up, because this becomes the
I
great,
think he has that sort of.
this is a connective balcony that could be there, that could connect. So you do have this portico looking over the great square back there. Because David Berry's made it clear that the medicine shop building that he owns right there, it would be great if that building could just be moved over and it's just completely open to the, future park. But he said, Alan, I'm building, I want to build a nice 3 or 4 story building there.
There you go.
So that's what we're showing. So this might be, and again, this is a conceptual thing, but you see how it frames, it creates in this amazing internal space of the future Depot Square Park. And yes, we made sure you have these great balconies, because what you'll do then, on Friday nights and weekends, there will be concerts.
There'll be
around
music in the square.
So at night, you say, we're gonna sit out, and this is why I choose to live in downtown Ayer. This is my lifestyle.
Could have underground parking for all these guys.
Yes, and what we do is I said in the form-based code, you have our lot layers, our third layers, and this is a kind of good example. So that the front 20 feet down the building could be storefronts, but then the next 2 layers underground, you could have your parking underneath the building, and it's all beautifully straight close, and you have this amazing place, as opposed to what's out there now, which is one of the most desolate, god-awful
And
spaces.
we can paint that below like a rainbow bridge for our Love is in the Air Valentine
There you go.
promotion, yes.
And again, this is shown right
Yes.
now where the gas station is here. This is where the medicine shop building is now. And David is saying, I want to build a 4-story building. So there's a 4-story building, and you see how this opens
Depot
up
Square.
and going back into Depot Square.
It's nice, it's nice to see that folks who own downtown
Uh-huh.
are also thinking about the next round,
They want to do it.
the next,
So this is
the next
totally-
generations here in
Oh,
town.
yes.
We
So
could ultimately end up with a hotel.
Maybe a boutique type thing.
No, but seriously,
Could work.
I've seen
So
some
this is the
interesting,
visioning process, guys, to say.
we started with the
hey,
hotel.
And the cool thing about this
Depot,
code
right?
is, it's not a design guide.
Right.
It's not, well, build your new buildings in harmony with the character of the, this means nothing.
Good.
This is a regulatory instrument, meaning if you build anything there, this will be the product. Now, there'll be some flexibility, but this is, we're saying, we're delivering this place. For 30 years, the 3 Mass have been saying, Park Street is to become downtown. Park's like, no, it will not under your currents. It's not going to do anything. It's going to stay exactly as it is.
Unless you change.
Can you imagine, by the way, the revenue, this type of properties, and can you imagine, by the way, what this development will do to all the existing properties in downtown?
You pricing me out, Alan? You gotta be prepared
There it
for
is.
that.
By the
You
way, I'm glad
pricing
you
my
brought this
family out
up.
of
This
here.
is
You
important.
gotta ask these
The
questions.
point with this, and what we do need to do, is the next steps is saying, if you do this type of residential development, we have to do it so that whatever, every 4th unit has to be deed
25%
restricted as an
has to be-
affordable loan, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's part of, again, John, gets to the heart of what you're saying, that we're doing this downtown, so there will be, this is where people get the development pressure off our open lands, but if you're doing this, you have to, a certain percent have to be literally restricted. As
1 out of 5 now, right?
Yes, 1 in 5. Downtown, I think, should be 1 in 4. We need
Well,
to
it
up
should be
that
1
in
in
the
4.
downtown. And they'll do it. Again, it'll all be, so this is it, guys. This is powerful stuff. And man, if you deliver a place like this, you will watch retail will come back to downtown
No
there, because
kidding.
retail will have a chance to actually, just to function off this market. And doing this, you create a wonderful 18-hour economy.
But I
Then we
can't-
start attracting professional offices, to the downtown, where you have a daytime thing going on.
But I can't park in front of every store I want to go to.
During the check.
But
With this place, Jeff, you'll want to park wherever,
I-
and you'll say, I just want to walk down the
My
street.
car will never go into it, so it's okay.
just a thought. This is not us, but there are a lot of people who see country versus city as contradictory poles. And I want to make it clear to people that increasing density here is what's helping us preserve the open space.
To keep the rest of your town in this traditional rural New England
We're gonna have our
character.
trails, we're gonna have our open spaces, our creeks, our everything, we're gonna have that.
Yes.
And this is part of keeping it.
And hopefully you will have this, and again, we're holding the density here to 4 stories. We currently allow 3, so this is not this crazy thing we're doing. And down the road, what we really should do, guys, we don't have it here now, we should develop architectural standards for the
Yes.
downtown.
One step at a time, sir.
Yeah.
And that's when you really solidify, if you're gonna do these buildings, they really should be of a architecture type that is consistent with New England traditional architectural, which I will reinforce. This is not, we're not a metropolitan scene here. We're in nice, mid-sized New England, so that, right, gets into stuff. So anyway,
Thank you.
that's it, guys, it's really, it's
Thanks,
that's
Alan.
a cool thing.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you all.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
So
sir.
you intend, I'm looking through the
Yes.
form-based code, and I see the slides in here that, you showed up there.
Yeah, I've done
also.
a couple, but I'm gonna be making those, I'm gonna be labeling those, and what I actually wanna do too with those in there, I need to show a photo of the current, what's there currently with this, so people can really place it. And I'd like to somehow try to put that in here, here's it, but here's.
I guess I'm a little concerned if I was at town meeting
Yeah.
that this, because this, all of this I think is great. I'm
Yes,
just not so
this
sure.
might
that-
overwhelm.
But I think that's gonna hurt you.
It could, thank you.
That's why I
it's gonna
mentioned
take great skills, especially when you show stuff like
being
this, you gotta
priced
know,
out.
where is this?
Well, I don't know.
That's too
I think
city.
it might be too, to get this done is a big deal.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that helps you get it done, that's the way I'm gonna talk.
Okay.
It might be just too much for people to understand. This is a lot.
It could be, that's why I need the next 2 months. I have to go out and use my power of communication and help people become, because, and I know, Ken, you can actually, I could have showed this at a scale, you have to show what the code will actually, could deliver in a fulfilled thing. And you're right, showing this is just like, wow, but you're right, what people have to say, guys, this is not gonna happen. And like all of a sudden, it will be this slow incremental
showing
process over a decade.
Okay,
And, yeah,
Okay.
so, all right, cool, guys.
sorry, Alan.
Thank
Let's keep going, we've got more business to do.
And extra meetings next week, so.
And we have
yes.
a meeting next week. And
Come on.
my workday starts at 5:45 now. And it's an
You
hour away.
love it.
I love it. I love it. This was yours, this was yours. I had to pull your phone off so I could read it.
Throw away the other one.
Okay. Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much.
So much, guys.
You studied them
This
every
brings
day,
us to
don't
the
you?
town planner update piece.
Yeah, what's up?
So, do you want to handle,
That's why I don't have to.
can I give,
Thank
can I
you.
do a preamble for it?
Yes.
I know you
Thank you.
are. I've said it verbally many a time.
Okay, guys. I think you all may have been found out about this independently or not. There are 2 projects that are coming before us soon, and they're both beneficial to the town. We've got a, you all are aware of the PFAS issue with the well number 8. And we need to place here in town a treatment plant for it. Okay? And so we're going to talk about that in a minute. That's going to end up over on Barnum Road. That's the request. Secondarily, there is a wastewater treatment plant need over at Brook Street that the DPW is looking at. With the change in our zoning bylaw, we are discovering that they have to go through a process. So what we're going to do kind of now is use this time as an informational meeting, because I think it's extraordinarily important that we get the PFAS moved forward and get it up and running so our water supply continues. It is not unsafe now, but this is something that the Army Corps of the Department of Defense is going to work with the town on. So we need to be ready for the plant to be built, and so we can get some work done on that right now. DOD, Department of Defense. That's number 1. I believe that, and so this is informational, guys, at this point. This has come up over the last couple of days, and more information is coming. So what I asked Alan to do was to kind of do a little bit of a dog and pony show, a slideshow here. Talk about what the issues are so we're all prepared as we go forward. I'm sorry, I've confused Mark and Alan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, guys, I started a new job last week, and it's all been new names for me. And I'm telling you, I'm getting the names wrong. So,
We'll do a quiz.
but that's
show.
one.
Name
And the
us
second
after.
piece we're going to talk about is some expanded needs at the DPW.
So we're under a town planner update.
This is town planner update.
Right.
This is kind of town planner update, new business.
Yes.
Okay. And this did come around in the last 48 hours or so.
Yeah, 24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
And again, our zoning bylaws have changed, but we would like to work with the DPW to get it to work
Okay.
out.
The location that you see here on Mr. Mapper, which is the town's GIS website, is 99 Barnum Road. Here's the rotary right here, so if you go towards Devon's on this direction, here is DPW property, and they would like to site the PFAS treatment center somewhere in here. I'm not sure the exact location along the pond, but this is all DPW property. It's in the A2 residential district, which perhaps in the future should become an industrial district to reflect the uses. They will require a combined site plan special permit in order to build this, and they would like to have that on our April 23rd planning board meeting agenda.
And just, if I may say, right now the DPW is putting together the paperwork in order to get it submitted in the next couple of days to us,
Right.
in order to get it done.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting we cut any corners or bend any rules, but this is something that we should move forward on, so we're
Right.
prepared, hopefully, when the Department of Defense says, go forward.
Yeah. So I'll be working with Mark Wetzel and Dan on, reviewing the plans, seeing if there are any waiver requests for that. And it's possible that at the April 9th meeting, I'll have more information. All I know right now is the general location that they're proposing, which is right here at the,
What's this
Barnum Road.
dark red line?
Town line.
That is
that's
Devon's?
the line with Devon's.
I just wasn't,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't that where the community garden is right there?
The community garden.
Community garden
It's,
is
excuse me, to
Oh,
the right.
here.
to the right,
It's,
yeah.
that's where they're clearing for the community garden. And actually, guys, if you take a minute, may I have the mouse, please?
Yes.
So, this is actually a really cool walkthrough. If you head back into this neighborhood, if you're heading around the pond, all these houses back up to the pond, there is a road and a no longer used bridge here that connects up to a trail that walks around through here. This is a great little walk, guys. You want to watch beaver, you want to watch stuff, this is a great little place. It's just one of those pieces of property that just sits out there and is currently not used. But it's very close to the wellhead for 8, is my understanding, and it's a proper location for it to go. So you can drive up in here, there is a garage, there is a road up in here, there's some stuff being stored up there.
That's also DPW.
It's all DPW. It's all DPW. Now you'll get back in here and there's fencing that you can't get through because this is Devon's proper,
Fence, yeah.
and there's a fence that runs out here. It runs down to the water and actually into the water and stuff. You can't circumnavigate this pond without going into the pond or walking on the ice. But it's worth it to go take a look at the piece of property. And there's a gate here, but you can park up against it and drive in if it's closed. Thank you. I'm sorry?
They're gonna be in a buffer zone for conservation?
My understanding with this is that, yeah, but I think conservation is going to be doing the same thing.
Same thing.
I mean, bottom line is this: we recognize we've got an issue with the with the aquifer,
We understand.
and we got to fix it.
Yeah.
And this is for our next generations.
Yep,
Thank you,
so
Mark.
That's pretty much all I know about that one for now. The other is the
These are mine right now.
Brook Street.
Brook Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
May I?
Yes, you can zoom in on Brook Street. They're proposing a new garage at their existing,
Okay. So here's the DP. Here's the yard.
yep.
Here's the plant down low.
Here's
Here's
the
the
new
new building.
building, right.
This is the old build.
new office.
The old building's here, right?
Actually, this is yeah. What
Yeah,
happens is as this redraws, it's slow. So this was the quote unquote existing building. This is when you're going to see Mona in the old office.
Right.
Now you go to the new office. Mona sits right here.
Yeah.
This is the shed, the
Yeah.
existing shed. Down lower is where the wastewater treatment, if I'm correct.
No, just don't think the road.
Actually, the wastewater treatment's to the
This is the.
west.
I'm sorry, it's to the west of the building. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little upside down and confused. But anyway,
We could, if you minimize or
it's
zoom out a little bit, you
Yeah.
might be able to see it, yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of water down there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you happen to ever drive in on
Huge solar field potential.
um,
I can't do it.
it's Bishop
No,
Road
it's
here,
Yeah, Bishop
McClellan Way,
Thurston,
in McPherson. I believe it's Bishop here. You'll see a gate that has a Ayer DPW sign on it. What you don't really realize is it's connected through the property. They have roads and they connect in through there, and that's where brush piles and stuff like that go. It's a storage
No
facility.
idea.
Yeah, you don't know it's there.
This they take the stuff from the big.
So,
they bring it over
with that being the excuse me, it's very jumpy.
Oh, yeah. Mr.
And
Knapp was very checked.
is this your plant?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
wastewater treatment. right?
And if you've never seen a wastewater treatment plant, that's what some of them look like. Okay? Now that you have the locus, Mark, why don't I'll get the garage is going to, I don't even know where the garage is going to be sited.
I
It's
am
going to be
not
sited.
exactly sure, but I believe it's close to the
I
existing
think-
campus that they have with the.
Yeah, that was my
garage.
understanding.
Yeah,
And
it's-
this was a
it's more on
conversation.
that site.
This has been a kind of a conversation on the phone, but they're going to want to site another building on there in order to support the wastewater treatment needs of the town.
Yeah, so they will be coming before us on the same date as they come for the PFAS treatment center on Barnum
Yeah.
with this on April 23rd.
Yeah,
So
so we're alerting you, basically, this has come up because of a changing in our zoning bylaw, among other things. I think a member of our committee also brought it to their attention, and they want to do these things because they think it's necessary for the town. And again, I don't want to cut any corners, I don't want to break any rules, but more or less, I think I've asked Mark to be as helpful as he can. Dan and Mark Wetzel over at the DPW are doing yeoman. They're going to try and pull this all together for us. So we'll be getting some materials pretty soon. They should be in our hands April 1st, I believe. Am I correct on this timeline too?
I'm not exactly sure.
This may not be
exact
available
date.
April 1st. The solar will be in our hands by Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than likely, it'll be in our hands Friday, with a possible draft coming up on Monday, okay, to prepare for that meeting. But this will be coming down the pike fairly quickly into April.
Yeah, that,
And
majority
I
of that will
just,
be in the next week.
sorry to get kind of animated about this, but,
April 23rd.
you know, the, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the selectmen's meeting when Mark Wetzel was here, and they had a presentation on the PFAS. And there's a lot of information floating around out about it, but the bottom line is the Department of Defense is in conversations with the town, and if I can quote Mark from the TV set, he would be surprised if they reneged on their offer to help us put in place a solution that will help with the PFAS issue. And there's an awful lot of information floating around about it. The concern is newborns and women who are having children, because this is a substance that's existed in our environment for most of our lives. And you gotta drink a lot of it to have it really affect you. And they went off-site, when it was identified, the well went off-site. The Department of,
It's offsite now, that well.
the well's offline, excuse me. There are no, the DOE doesn't even recognize this as a bad substance. There's a lot of work that has to be done. The good news is carbon filtration, activated carbon filtration, I believe, helps with it.
It's a large molecule, right?
It's a large molecule from what I understand. Your basic over-the-counter charcoal filters probably grabbing a lot of it anyway. But it's the right thing to do. And the DOD wants to play, and the town wants to say, for the PFAS, when you're ready, we're ready. Okay? Did I do a good job?
Yes.
Thank
Very
you,
good
Mark.
job.
I'm sorry to jump on, but,
Oh, no, I was going to change the topic, so
Yeah.
if you have something more to say about these
and I'm happy to talk about PFAS
Just very
offline.
quickly, to my observation is it seems that a lot of stuff's coming down to fruition that had been percolating for years, and then just had a weird coincidence in this couple-month window.
Right.
It's all coming to a head.
That's what happens.
Well, this project like a year ago, with no opposition, they voted for it.
Yeah.
$100 at town meeting.
Great.
It's just,
been working on
Okay,
it for a
great.
while.
yeah. And this is honestly,
Sounds good.
Dan and Mark, they're up against things that they have to jump on, and this is gonna be an opportunity, so. Not like no one else in the town is, but that's, we're gonna, so, okay. You may change the topic, thank you.
Okay.
And I'll talk about PFAS offline all you want, because I've done a huge amount of research for it, to try and keep my biology wife happy.
Okay, change the topic. Remember a few months ago, we were talking about the need to have associate member?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, we have
That wasn't gonna be.
Hi.
in the audience.
I know, we have to actually formally vet Mark.
Yes,
Hi.
Union Coffee Roasters, who has expressed possible
Yes.
interest in serving as an associate member of the planning board.
Very
and
much
would
so.
like to,
Yep.
uh,
That's why I'm here.
And-
Yeah.
and
It's not just that riveting?
You know, I was
Okay.
moving to, yes. No, but I've already talked to Jonathan and Jeff at length about it. Well, Jonathan at length, and
Yeah,
I'm very interested. I actually find this all very fascinating, and I always have. So I've been kind of looking for a way to get involved with town, community more, and politics for sure. So I feel like this would be a good in. I'm already very involved with the community, so.
And she's being way too kind. Jonathan's been talking to her because I know if I talk to Carrie, she'll run away. So, but no.
Talk to you every day.
I know,
so
but not
that's
about this.
That's not true.
But not about this. But no, it's exciting to have Carrie interested, and I did speak with the town manager's office about it today.
Great, thank you.
Kind of the stuff I do on a regular basis.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're trying to figure out what to do with, I'm sorry,
Oh, the timeline of.
the timeline of bringing
Yes.
Carrie in. She'll work as an associate member. It doesn't relieve us from the fact that we have a non-participating elected member.
Right.
And I'm gonna shift gears. And I don't know what, there's nothing I can say. I have,
Wait, can we
Go
go
ahead.
back to the associate?
Yes.
Thank you, I'm thrilled.
oh, I'm sorry, Julie.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
Does that still mean we could have possibly two? Because
Yes.
I actually met Jaderson this week. He seems
I think we
like,
can have up to two.
okay, he's in a project
I
crunch,
don't, I think
right?
it
So-
said one.
So,
Is it just one?
to
Just
answer
one.
the question.
7 members or higher, the way it's written is allowed
Oh,
2. We're a
it's
5-member
fine,
board.
it's
And again,
Oh,
that
okay.
question, I believe, when
Well, I'm
we had
gonna
the
still
emails,
invite
we're going
him
to-
because we
Please
clearly
do.
still
Manager's
have
office.
needs and I
Yeah,
ask the
right.
Tori
Please do.
to-
It's nice that, this is one of the questions, and I'm sorry, Heather, one of the questions that we were discussing today is we're gonna have to do a little bit of checking
Yes,
on where we were.
thank you.
We never expected to be here with a 5-member board, but we are. So, as you said, Jonathan, we're cutting new, we're a little bit in new territory. But having folks
Yes,
who live in the town, who want to be engaged is a really good thing.
Yep. so I'm gonna still,
Yeah.
when his project ends, have him come to a couple of our meetings. And-
Absolutely, that'd be fantastic. And if you really don't like them, you can watch them on TV.
Yeah.
Where were we going after that? I'm sorry.
We were talking about having a
Oh,
non-president vote
excuse
elected
me.
official.
I would like to talk about I would like to talk about Member Kennedy, just for a moment. It's a quandary. I researched and spoken to the town manager's office about a couple of different possible things we can do. And as a testament to becoming an elected person is sacred. It's very
Yes.
difficult to remove an elected person.
That's right.
And not that we want to remove an elected person. I think the stated goal of the board is we want to function as a board. With a member in absentia all the time, it ties our hands. It's costing us money, it's costing the town money, excuse me, and it ties our hands. We have reached out and have had no response. We've asked Coltman and Page, KP. There's no precedent for this in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that we're aware of. We may just have to wait until the seat comes up for election. That's all I can say. I know no more information than that. But I think the town's been very patient. We've reached out and done what we can. I truly hope that everything's okay with Sue. She's a great member. She did a lot of work on the marijuana stuff. Very, very insightful member of the board. It just seems to have gone to silence at this point. Thanks, sorry, Mark. I know you're the town planner, but
Yeah,
I've stolen your thunder.
Yeah, and we can talk, and I will talk to the town manager, and we can talk about the timeline of, I think they like joint meetings with the selectmen when new members come on
Yes.
board, so we might do that process.
Supposed to get a couple
But,
things together for them too.
yeah, thinking, it sounds like we have a very busy April between public hearings at the first meeting in April, and then all the DPW projects, second meeting of April, so perhaps right at the beginning of May would be an ideal time to.
Poor Carrie,
Join us.
I did drop into the coffee shop this morning on my way out of town,
Oh.
and I said to her, I'm not sure if there's going to be much going on at tonight's meeting, so if you don't happen to
Famous
make
last
it, don't
words.
worry about it.
I said, oh, I'll be home early tonight.
Yeah, no, never. When there's nothing
Yeah,
on the agenda,
so,
they go super long.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, we're a victim of our own
I'm
success.
learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
The only other thing I would bring up under planner update is, does anybody have anything to share about the citizen planner training workshop? You know, I thought it was very good. It was, you know, there were excellent workshops.
May I, just quickly?
Yes, yes.
So, for the people in Ayer who have nothing better to do than watch us, Citizens Planner Training Workshop happened last weekend,
Yes.
and Ayer had the largest contingent of residents that we know of of a sound for a town our size at it. We had, not only did we have planning board members, but Takashi and
Takashi.
I'm sorry,
Beth,
Takashi and Beth were there.
Susan Meyer.
Yes.
And so we had this interesting experience where people who you want to talk to, and one of the members told me, we don't obviously see these people, so they had a great, so the town of Ayer got together for a lunch at the Citizens Planner Training Conference. And the feedback I got was, it's fantastic. As you all know, one of my sons is entering the military at the end of next week, and we had a family function that day. So kind of loving the fact that it's odd that my son's going in, but the family's been getting together. It's been really wonderful on a personal note. Thank you.
Yep, that is basically all I have for this evening.
Should we get any comments about the citizens plan training?
Well, right, if you
Please
want to,
do.
add any comments about, I thought it was really good. 40B was one of the items, and we're having a special meeting about the possible 40B down the road tomorrow night with the selectmen. I won't get into, all the issues. I took very good notes. I have handouts for the sessions that I was at, and perhaps I'll photocopy those for the next meeting. I didn't get to do that for tonight, but
Just a very quick observation is that it seems like we're actually ahead of the curve on a few of these topics, like OSRD, the marijuana bylaw. There was a third thing I think we're a little bit ahead of.
Having a town planner.
Master plan.
well,
Yeah.
And a town planner. Compared to
Updating
most
our
of the people in
bylaws,
that
being
place?
consistent.
Are you serious?
consistent with the
Yeah.
best, but we're actually, well, I don't want us to be, we shouldn't be complacent, but I
People
think we
asking the
can't take a certain amount of pride in
questions,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a big
We're assuming a great deal of
difference.
responsibility that other towns
No, not
aren't
being smart,
quite
but
there
glad
yet.
I
so.
worked with you guys.
right,
No,
yeah. it was-
Sorry.
and to
You guys have any nerve questions?
not repeat what you said, but you're correct. Town of Ayer in the last 4 years has done a huge amount in the way of preparing the town for the future pressures of development here in town. Mark mentioned this briefly, and I'm just going to, without going into the details of it, we do have there is a special meeting of the selectmen tomorrow evening. I think it's at 7 a.m. 7
No,
p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Is it here?
Yes.
Okay. And they're going to be discussing what's the actual application called? It's not a
Local
full,
initiative.
Green
it's a local initiative
project.
project. So if you, as a public service announcement, can I make these? An LIP, local initiative project, a group is coming forward to the town for a development out on Washington Street in what we call the Ayer Solar 2 project area. And it is coming to the town under the auspices of Chapter 40B. And I would ask you to Google that and take a look at it. If you're interested, by all means, come join the selectmen meeting tomorrow evening. It's a process, and this is the really beginning of the process. And I'm not going to tell you where I fall out on it, but that's where we are.
Yeah, and just another.
And we're not going to discuss it here.
One
It's not on the
important point
agenda.
too about the 40B process is the zoning board of appeals is the lead,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
board at
Yes.
the local level that oversees that.
I lead all 40B stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
under Mass General
They issue the
Law,
comprehensive permit.
ZBA is the granting authority for a 40B project of
Right.
any sort.
Does not mean it
That's
gets to
why it doesn't come to
bypass.
us.
It still has to go
Okay.
to conservation for
But
their
as-
approvals,
Right.
but does not go to planning for subdivision. It goes to zoning.
Right,
Move
so
on.
anything that the planning board would normally, be the permitting authority for now falls
Yeah.
with the CPA with the comprehensive.
So we become individual citizens who might have an understanding of the planning in town and may be able to lend.
So the departmental review,
expertise.
we get to now submit the departmental
Yes,
review
they
instead of
may
collecting
actually
them.
ask the planning board for advice in a formal fashion, which we can
Yes.
give them.
We'll see how that goes.
They make the ultimate decision.
So tomorrow I would be a civilian, in other words.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yes.
I would expect that if if 3 or more of us were to be at the meeting tomorrow evening,
Too late.
I would expect that it would be recognized not as a convening of the
Yeah,
planning
because I
board.
can't,
Not
I can't post it, it's too
deliberating,
late.
It's an open meeting,
You just listen.
exactly. And I'm hoping to be able to get there, and I'm going to go as Jeff Tillotson, private citizen.
Yeah, that's, I can't post it.
Is where it goes. I'm very interested in what they have to say. We all received, the town manager was generous enough to send us the background information on it. It's 119 pages
Yeah,
long.
It's
Yeah, I
it's on
noticed
the
that.
selectman's desk if anyone wants to sit down and read it.
If you want to read it, you can go by all means next door and read it. I spent a little bit of time on it over the weekend. There's some well thought out sections of it, quite honestly. So, Mark, you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much. Board reorganization is going to remain on our list. Again, that really is code for our fifth member not being here. And we'll continue to work to see if we can't have all the seats of the board full. Carrie, thank you very, very much for coming forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By all means,
Thanks
call
for
and ask. We'll, yeah, no, that's great. The thing about planning is it takes a long, long time. With that said, I will entertain, if there's any other business, I'm sorry, anybody have any announcements or new business?
I was gonna talk about my experiences at the citizens planning training, but I
You
think
should.
everybody's kind of tired.
No. Ken, now's the time, because we
Please.
did learn a lot,
Yeah,
and we're
knock
not
a
gonna
few
be able to
things
do, we're not gonna wanna talk about this in a month.
So I want to echo what my partner here said, Jonathan, about the fact that the town of Ayer has many of the topics they talk about there. I went last year. Many of the topics they talk about there, they're trying to convince professionals around the state to move in the direction of those new ideas. And many of those new ideas are being taught by professionals from, like Janet, the people we hire as consultants, basically. So there's no question about it. And I tell you, the example I had is that the 3 sessions I attended was one in the morning about open space. And it talked about the OSRD almost verbatim. And our code that we passed is the code that everyone's recommending. So we're definitely ahead of the curve on that.
Reinventing the wheel's not always a good idea.
We've done that. And the other issue, one thing that I did learn was they emphasized, they had a session on reaching out to your regional planning authority, which I find we do very little of, in my experience anyway, in Ayer. In our case, it's Montechusett.
This is true.
But around the state, there are some very active regional people, so almost a step that everyone takes as they're active is to reach out to them and get feedback on what might be funding for something or a budget, whatever the number is. And they're pretty active elsewhere in the state. But there's no question about it that the items that we've tackled in town, not this board, but all the boards, have been what they're recommending as best practices, let's put it that way.
Yes.
And lastly, the other course I took was about tools, meaning electronic tools, on what to get electronically to help you understand whatever it is. So these smart growth terms they used, all the different terms about open space. And it was pretty fascinating because I tried it and it's just loaded with all the data that you could get very, very quickly in one place. So there's been a lot of people that have been consolidating this information and making it quick to get, is what I'm getting at.
And that is true. And that is something that's come up in the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, it's all in the
Okay. Again, planning takes a long, long time. I mean, our new zoning bylaw took over a decade to do.
Right.
Master plans we do every 10 years.
Yes.
And some will tell you we do a master plan in order to to get better ratings on our cherry sheet work. Cherry sheet's how we get funded. But a master plan is something we need to have required by it ticks off a box when you make
Exactly.
grant applications.
Yes.
But it's a beneficial tick in the box.
It totally is.
Okay?
It's nice to see that the town of Ayer is following the models
Yep.
that are being recommended by the state agencies, which then put the town in a position to get the funding. It's just
Exactly.
talking about, that's kind of one of the
Go ahead.
driving
I
forces.
just want to make an important point, though. It's not just the money thing, the grant thing. It's also that you're creating a chain of connectivity so that if anything's challenged in court about your bylaws, for example, that's not arbitrary. Say, no,
these are here to fulfill objectives in a planning board
Yeah.
document that went through a process that's democratic, et cetera. And this is very important to have that chain.
Well, that exists also, and Ken, I'm not gonna, I heard you say that one thing, and I'm glad you brought this up, reaching out to the local planning, the local regional planning resources is a good thing. I'm going to back up the bus for a minute, because I don't want that to be misinterpreted by anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? I joined a board as an appointee just after I moved to town, which is just over 4 years ago. Nobody sitting at this table was in that room at that time. We were tackling a zoning bylaw, we were tackling a master plan. We didn't have the good fortune of a planner, we didn't have the good fortune of an office staff. Not to diminish what you do, Heather, but we didn't have these people here. So we had a chairman who was doing Heather's job, Mark's job. We had applicants bringing in updated plans minutes before the meeting, and we were in reactive mode. As we've moved out of reactive mode, we've taken on some pretty critical issues. We're going to have more bandwidth for regional planning uses of the regional planning. We're on their radar because of all we've been doing. And as Ken said, he took classes from the people who he's met here in town, who've made presentations to us, who have been here as advocates for one or the other side of an issue. So it's always interesting when you go to a conference and the people you go to the session of, you've met, because you've been doing that work. Whether or not it's the right work is always a question, but it's nice to have. And it helps to solidify. A lot of what we do is very detail oriented. And it changes dramatically based on that map, the zoning map. And whether or not we have to change the zoning map, I think is a secondary question. We've made the choice not to go through the process at this point in time.
Yes.
There's going to be a point in time when we have to do it, but it's a good enough map for what we're doing now. And I'll stop at that point. But
You have more for your day.
The only,
oh, sorry, I thought you
no,
were
it's
done.
okay, that's fine, that was enough.
Yeah.
No, really, we're never gonna be able to come back to this. We're not gonna in May say, oh, wait a minute.
I didn't bring all my notes, so I'm not gonna go through it, but
Oh,
I did
I was
want to
gonna
make
ask you.
one more comment.
No, let
The
Ken
website.
Finished the subdivision,
Jeff, let Ken
we
finish
finished the
it.
subdivision, I think perhaps our final meeting today,
The draft.
the draft of the subdivision regulations,
Fantastic.
which is really a pretty comprehensive document, so.
Good.
We're reaching out to Mark Wetzel with that, that's what we're
Yeah,
talking about
he's
today.
gonna review it, it needs to be formatted a little bit, we probably wanna have some legal review of it, and
Yeah.
eventually it will be.
Early June?
Yeah, sometime like that.
I know it sounds like a long time, guys, but early June's
Yeah,
only 6
it'll
weeks
be,
away.
it'll come
The
fairly
reason I
quickly,
brought
but I would,
that up
yeah.
is because I'm
Tomorrow.
connecting it to the preliminaries that we had. And I'm going to ask Mark, that as a goal, I'm not sure it's possible for us to have that subdivision regulation in place before we get another definitive in. Meaning that we're gonna potentially get 2 definitives in.
If you're
Does-
thinking
does
it's gonna
anybody-
go in June, they'd have to come in prior to posting the public hearing. And a town meeting being on the 10th, I wouldn't wanna do a meeting right after that, depending on, so I'd have to look at this calendar, so unless something comes in, what, third week of May?
Might take us that long.
So if nothing comes in prior
Yeah,
to that,
we'll
then
move
it
as quickly
should.
as we can, but.
But we have what places in GPR, so I
I would
don't
be
know.
willing to look at the draft as it stands now, even without formatting.
It needs to-
Seriously.
Yeah, I could.
I mean, we got a lot coming on, but
Ready to-
All right, if
Yeah,
you'd like
it's-
to, you know. the
it's the type of
formatting
thing I can
is
take
much
20 minutes, half hour of time and chew through it.
Yeah, you should.
No, it's going to be a
It's
4 or
like
5 hour
40
week.
pages
Well,
compared to our
yeah.
8-page now.
Exactly.
Yes.
But if you want to actually, don't worry about misspellings, don't worry about formatting.
Yeah.
If you want to give it to us, at
Okay.
least we can prepare ourselves. And I would hold back on making serious comments on it unless it's something really, really broken,
Right.
until we get Mark's input and stuff.
Yeah, just because it is gonna have to go to a public hearing, which means we
Yeah.
want
Oh, yeah.
council to review it, so
Exactly,
to fast track it, you guys are gonna wanna start reviewing that sooner than later,
exactly.
because in order to post everything and get it done sooner than later, we're looking at the middle of
It's
May,
almost
which
summer
is,
reading time,
which
why
is,
not, right?
you're talking 6 weeks from now.
You know, there is a risk in doing what you asked, and I'll tell you what the risk is.
Mhm.
the way this document is set up, and it took me a little time to go along with the trend, is that it appears to be repetitive in some cases. We talked about this today.
Right, yes.
But it's broken down into different sets of standards.
Mhm.
So for instance, design standards and
Mhm.
construction standards would be two different things.
Mhm.
So as you're reading the design standards, you might get lost when you go to, you might say, why am I talking about it again in the construction standards? It's slightly, so I'm almost thinking that Mark needs to preview us, of the board, before the draft goes out, because you might get stuck.
Would it be possible to say, just use your designs, pages 1 through 7, constructions,
Yeah, we
pages 8
need,
through
the table of
15?
contents would be a great
Either
addition
that,
to the.
either that or just footnote, design, construction,
Well, it's all there.
yeah.
But if you look at it raw, is what I'm getting at, it could get a little, that might get.
Or even,
Yeah,
or even a
I-
quick email before.
It appears
Is
to
it-
be redundant in many places, but that's purposeful.
Yeah.
Right, it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to read 50 pages at the end, you want to go to the 6 pages you need or the 8
Yeah,
pages
which is
you
why
need.
when we do these things, I typically make the application with the checklist.
Yeah.
So the people reviewing it are reading those, and the engineers that understand these things would be reading more of the full document.
Something else that we've done since this board has changed is give checklists to the applicants, so we
So
get a
much
full
easier.
applicant.
So much easier.
Getting a complete application is hard.
But the point I was trying
It's
to
really
make
Yeah, I'm
not.
is
sorry, Ken.
it's really designed, its primary goal is to establish the standards that we know are going to be the best.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of language in there that's just designed for professionals,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so that they know these are the standards that we
A
have.
lot
They
of
then can
it's
turn that
for
into the
engineers.
drawings very quickly,
Mhm.
because it tells you pretty much, go to the Commonwealth book such and such.
Yeah.
So this is where Dan at DPW and Mark, of course, helps us a lot on this by putting in the technical references,
Yeah.
whereas it's
cameras
not
and,
just general language, you know? So anyway, you take
Along,
a shot at it, whatever you want.
along those lines, you've mentioned it now twice in our conversations, the access on the web for the different, for the information for planning. Could you share those with us, the websites? No.
Bring my notes.
You know, not for discussion.
But
Could you
typically, it's,
drop them in an email and send them around? Because I think
Sure.
you're gonna, I think people will find those, yeah, why not?
a lot of it, you can go right back to that Citizens Planning Training Academy and look at courses they gave a year ago.
On
They
their
have
website?
electronic versions of, and
Okay.
they'll do the same thing this year. In about
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks, they post those courses, the PowerPoint presentations. So you just take them at your own.
If you don't mind, if that, did you get an email when those come out?
Yes,
Could you
Yes,
just
I will.
forward that along
yes.
as a memory,
Yeah.
as a reminder, that would be great. Anything, I'm sorry, Ken, I didn't mean to cut you off with the news there. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
A motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Oh, no, Heather had something.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
know, Ruth had her hand raised, I was just making
I'm
sure.
sorry,
She
Ruth, I
said-
can't
she
see you
said
from
she's
there.
fine, so.
I should have,
Oh, I got it.
Does the site plan review that they want to do for Citizens Energy require any legal notice posting?
No about a notification, no
No, I
advertising.
mean, posting or
No.
advance posting or anything? I can't remember.
Site plan doesn't require that.
Okay,
it does not, no. We, if I may, and it's getting late, we've done a butter notifications as a courtesy in the
No, not
past.
about a notification, it's just the legal notice.
Oh, it'll,
The legal notice.
the meeting needs to be posted, correct?
Yeah.
Appropriate number of
48
days.
hours?
Yes,
It doesn't require what she's talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's part of it.
No, it doesn't, it requires posting, but it does not require advertising.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
And that was one of the conversations that happened in the town manager's office today, in order to do it. And again, we're not trying to fast track it to get it done, we're trying to, no one realized that we needed to let them know that we changed the rules. And we changed the rule book.
I got that. I mean,
Yeah, I sound bad by saying we changed the rules, but the rule book changed, and no one thought to reach out to them. Mostly because we weren't here when it happened, were we, Mark? Yeah. We're the victims of our own success in that case. We have a motion to adjourn. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Thank you all for coming. We have a motion on the table to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any conversation? All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, guys.